Salutations, adventurers! Welcome to Roll for Felicity, where we play serialized one-shots in a multitude of systems with assorted players. And today we're playing a game called Under the Floorboards by Chris Bissett, a one-shot. And this is a system that's primarily designed for one-shots, so I'm very excited about that. I've played a few of those on stream, but they're always nice to have because then I'm not cramming everything in to a stream. And I'm also here with some lovely people who I will allow to introduce themselves. But first, I do have a little icebreaker prompt, which was inspired by... so the system is based on the book The Borrowers. And I have a very nice, let me see, it's right here, a very nice little hardcover copy of The Borrowers with very pretty illustrations. And the intro to the book, the foreword to the book, is written by Mary Norton, who's the author, and she writes about how she came up with, like, the idea of The Borrowers, basically. And it was basically that when she was a kid, she needed glasses and nobody knew. And so she made up this idea by, like, laying in the grass outside when she was on walks and, like, watching the little animals and bugs and then imagining, like, what kinds of people would be, like, you know, living in that situation. So the prompt to get to know everyone a little bit before we start streaming, or before we start playing, is, tell us about a imaginary friend or story or something like that you made up when you were a kid. And I'll start us off. When I was a kid, I had an imaginary friend named Johnny Avenue, who was kind of a, like, protector slash, like, maybe love interest. I was very young. I was, like, 5 or 6, I think. And I imagined him with, like, kind of a blonde pompadour, and he wore, like, a leather jacket. He was very cool. And so I would talk about Johnny Avenue all the time. So that was my imaginary friend. And I had actually a lot of, like, stuff like that I made up as a kid. But that was definitely the longest lasting and most prominent made up person or lore that I had. But yeah, I'll throw it over to Zay for you to introduce yourself and then also talk about what kind of stuff you made up when you were a kid.
I made up so much stuff as a kid. Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Zay. I think regular viewers will probably recognize me. I've been on Taylor's stream a number of times. I play lots of RPGs whenever I get the chance. I've also written a couple. My answer to this, like I said, I made up a ton of stuff. In fact, Taylor, I almost went with the story that we used to make up. I had plenty of stories with, like, very complicated continuities over time, but I think most relevant to this is some of my brothers and I used to invent games, basically RPGs. We just didn't use dice or anything, but we would use action figures and make up games and have them, like, in our bedrooms or in our basement or whatever. So it literally was little people and running around and, like, using cardboard boxes for houses and scraps, like, of fabric for vests and things. So I think, like, yeah, I literally spent my childhood pretending to be the borrowers or whatever.
Yeah, very fun. Yeah, some of the ones we played a lot as a kid, as you know, when we were making things up that I played with your family, were very heavily inspired by Star Wars. So.
Oh, I wouldn't say inspired.
Well, yeah, some of them were just Star Wars.
Some of them were Star Wars, and the others were
Star Wars with, like, the serial numbers filed off.
Barely.
Yeah. It's like, no, it's not
Space Wars.
Yoda, it's Yida.
Please fight.
Kitty, how about you want to introduce yourself to everyone and also tell us about the stuff you made up when you were a kid?
Yeah, so I'm Kitty. I play D&D pretty regularly. Though I also really like a lot of indie RPGs. And I'm constantly trying to get my D&D groups to try anything else, which is an uphill battle. I also definitely played a lot of, like, let's pretend games. I did not Star Wars, but the friend I grew up with, we played a lot of Xena and Gabrielle, and we still send each other Xena and Gabrielle themed stuff. I was, of course, Xena. She was Gabrielle. We joke about how, like, this set the stage for our lives all the time. And I mean, like, I also, you know, like, I ran like I was a horse for years, like way longer than was socially appropriate or acceptable. But the thing that I remember the best was my parents coming in. They had given me this big desk, and they had come in and saw my cat sitting in a chair on the other side of the desk and me sitting behind the desk. And I had made this little like folded piece of paper, and I was playing attorney with my cat and was like giving my cat legal advice, which I just think is very funny. Because that seems extremely serious in terms of play, but like I had a briefcase, I like would file papers, like, so yeah, that was definitely my favorite let's pretend game.
Yeah.
Kitty
I have
Striker,
to know.
Attorney at Law.
I have to know if you remember what kind of legal trouble was the cat in.
I mean, honestly, cats are always in trouble. Let's be honest.
That's fair point.
So I think, I mean, I was also like a very, very accomplished liar. So I feel like maybe I was explaining to the cat how to lie about the things that he had definitely done.
Did you tear up these curtains? My client won't be saying anything at this time.
Objection. Ethan, how about you? Introduce yourself and tell us about the shenanigans that you used to get up to and make up as a kid.
Yeah. Hi, I'm new. I've not on the stream. I've not been on any streams before. This is the first streaming thing ever, and I think it's going pretty well so far. I very new to TTRPGs. Started playing D&D with my friend Andrew. Shout out to Andrew, and just fell in love with it. I'm already DMing and creating homebrew world and stuff like that, and it's a heck of a lot of fun. And that's how I met Taylor, and then I met Kitty, and I'm meeting Zay for the second time ever, which is awesome. And when I was a kid, one of my favorite stories about me when I was a kid, and I can barely remember because I have a terrible memory, was whenever my parents would put me in timeout, like first step at the bottom of the stairs, like you stay there. And I would always just do this. And like, these are the arms, these are the legs, and they're fighting each other. And my parents would come back to the stairs and be like, do you know why you're in timeout? And I would say, I'm not in timeout. Just get back to it.
Move.
Like, it was absolutely not intentional. I was just having a good time, like making up like, this is the bad guy, this is the good guy.
Yeah, that's so funny.
And just having a fun time doing that. Also, like in the backyard, fighting like invisible people, creating a lore, which was like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Power Rangers, just like put in a blender. And I was like, this is the best ever. I gotta write this down. And I could barely read my handwriting whenever reading it back. So it was like, okay, this was not legible, but I'll just make it up again. But just like having that outlet was very fun. And yeah, I had a monkey imaginary friend, but I forgot his name, and he was there for like half a week. He was a deadbeat imaginary friend. He left me.
It's a monkey imaginary friend is great though.
Friends. I had monsters living in the walls, but like we were cool, but we didn't really interact, you know.
They stay on their side of the wall. I'll stay on mine.
Yeah,
that's great.
It was because I lived in an old house, so it was creaky. So I would hear things in the walls, and it was just easier for me to be like, they're monsters, but they're fine.
That's great. I knew that asking, like RPG people the stuff they did as a kid and made up would be a wealth of good of of good and funny things.
I think we're people who like to
Yeah.
make things up and have been looking for an outlet for that for
Yeah.
most of our lives.
Yeah. Also, I just realized that I did not, for anyone who's new here, I didn't actually say my name or anything. I'm Taylor, if you're new here to stream. I was so ready to get things over to my guests. But yeah, I'm Taylor, and if you are new here or old here, there are some things that you can do to help out the stream. I'll start with the things that are absolutely free first. One of which is if there's a moment during the stream that you think is like really funny or really good, that you think would be like, oh, this would be great on TikTok. I'd love to see a clip of this on Twitter, something like that. You can put ! Marker in chat to mark that moment for me, and then I can go back later and clip it, which is really helpful because I'm bad at being motivated to edit. So if people put markers, then it's like, okay, all I gotta do is find this moment. So that's extremely helpful. The other thing you can do is follow me on YouTube. If I get to, I think, 100 subscribers on YouTube, I can have a vanity URL on there. Right now, it's just a bunch of letters and numbers. So follow me on YouTube, super helpful. Those are both absolutely free to do if you'd be so inclined. The next thing you can do is you can tip the performers tonight. And actually, I'll put that in chat. You can either use Twitch's currency, or I do have a Ko-Fi, or coffee. I don't know how it's supposed to be said. So I always say both. And for 200 bits, you can give one player +1 on a roll of their choice. For 500 bits, you can give all players +1 on a roll. Or for 1,000 bits, there's a part of this game called complications that can happen during the game that'll make things a little more difficult for our Floorboard Folk or borrowers. For 1,000 bits, I will add a complication to the game based on whatever obstacles already are in play. And then, like I said, you can also tip the cash equivalent, which would be $2, $5, or $10 on my Ko-Fi link. And that money does go to the guests. The last thing you can do to help is if you're seeing this right now, you're already doing it. Thank you for watching the stream, or for watching the VOD if you're seeing this on YouTube. All of the links to the players' information and stuff is either in chat, which I will just put there, or if you're watching the YouTube VOD, it's in the description. So that's that thing that I almost always forget to do until we start role-playing. So I'm already doing great. And then the last thing that I'll do before we actually get into playing this great game is explain just a little bit about it. A lot of the rule stuff we'll get into once we're actually playing. But the game we're playing today is called Under the Floorboards. I don't know why I can't say floorboards. And like I've mentioned, it's based on the book series The Borrowers. In the game, the player characters are referred to as Floorboard Folk. We'll probably be using Borrowers, Floorboard Folk, whatever lingo, kind of interchangeably. And there's a few things like that too. Like in the game, humans are referred to as biggies or giants. In the Borrowers, they're referred to as human beings. So we might use either of those things. This game is similar to like a Powered by the Apocalypse game in that players will roll 2d6, and then there's levels of success or failure. Generally, I think it's 10 plus is like an unqualified success. 9 or below is a success with conditions or a failure on that roll. And then there's also some different statistics, which I think we'll just get into, not statistics, like stats that the players have, which we'll get into as they come up. But the main thing is that we'll be deciding what these Floorboard Folk are after. We've talked about that a little bit when we did character creation, but the players will be talking like in character and, deciding what they're going after. And then we'll have an expedition, and then we'll have the return from the expedition. And those are kind of the 3 major phases of the game. This game is by Chris Bissett, who is at Pangalactic on Twitter, if you want to follow them there. And also, the links to the game and to the author's Twitter are both in chat right now, or in the YouTube description. With that all being said, I think it's time we actually start playing this dang game. I really can't talk. Which starts out with, we set the scene. So I think the first thing that we can do is... set the scene of where all of this is taking place, which is an old kind of manor house in the countryside that for a long time has been inhabited by an elderly couple who kind of kept to themselves, didn't really have a lot of people over, pretty regular schedule that was pretty nice for all of the borrowers who lived in this house, because there were people there to borrow from, but the people they were a little bit messy. They had a lot of stuff. That's a perfect situation for a borrower. But recently there's been some upheaval, and the house has new owners that have family, that have pets, that have a teenager in the house now. They've been doing renovations to the house. They've been getting rid of these antiques. They've even been going through the attic and like putting things up there and taking things down from there, which has led to a lot of problems for your community, the three of you and your community, in that almost all of the borrowers in this house now have been forced to live in this much smaller area. Those who haven't left, those who haven't emigrated, as they say, and gone abroad to the outdoors, are living now in this why can't I think of the word all of a sudden? Someone help me out.
The crawl space.
The crawl space. All living in a crawl space that has kind of the locks and hinges have kind of rusted over. The humans haven't gotten to it yet, but there is a little broken or bent out space in the corner, just big enough for people of your size to come and go. And that's where all these borrowers have made a community. You're all living there. You're all recently displaced, and having to work together and figure out how you're gonna make it through this new family, and whether you're gonna stay in the house or whether you're gonna find a new place to live. And that's where we begin. I think I should ask you each the questions. I'll ask you each the questions, and you can use that to set the scene for like what your character looks like, who your character is. The first question I have is for Windolina. On your last expedition out into the big world, you picked up a small trinket that makes you particularly happy. What is it, and where do you keep it? And also, feel free to describe your character, what you're doing, that sort of thing before the adventure.
Yeah. Windolina collects quite a lot when they venture out, which they do on a regular basis. They've kind of picked up a little bit of a living acting as a scout for people. They used to live on, their last name is High Shelf. She used to live up on, up high places. She's used to climbing. She's very adept at moving through the walls of the crawl space, getting to whatever floor we need to get to. Windolina likes to collect quite a lot. Just anything she can bring back of use. Unfortunately, most people don't find the things that she brings back very useful, but they know that they're going to find a use. That head of a toothbrush, there's a good use for that. And that tiny bit of twine that's unraveling, there's gonna be a perfect use for that. So there's a lot that they have, but I think the thing that makes the most sense for the answer to this question, the thing that Windolina is most excited about having found recently, is her tech deck skateboard, which she's still learning, but she's picking up very quickly, and it's really helping for, when you have to escape from the cat or the dog, you hear a human come in the room, you got to get out quick. It's so much faster. It's so much faster than legs.
Yeah, and then also feel free to describe kind of Windolina's overall look. I will mention, I haven't mentioned it yet, I said it on Twitter, but there is some art that chat can see on screen, which was done by our very own Ethan. It's very delightful. Yeah, it's great. And Windolina is all the way on the right-hand side with holding a tech deck, so maybe people in chat would be able to put together the context clues.
Yeah, I could probably figure out. Yeah, Windolina is they're it's kind of hard to tell if they're a teenager, young adult, just very much on that level of like you can't quite figure out their age. Clearly not very old though. Um, got some suspenders, a lot of earth and red tones, nice shaggy shoulder length haircut with some wispy bangs. Usually kind of pulled back out of their way. Right now, streaming behind her as she scoots around on her little makeshift skate park that she set up with some cardboard scraps, and always carrying her trusty satchel where she's going to store anything that might come in handy on her little expeditions.
Very lovely. I as soon as you all described your characters, I was like, this is perfect. This is good. These are great. My next question is for Margrim. Yesterday, the Biggies moved something heavy right above your home, and everything got covered in dust. What did you find that you thought you had lost as you were cleaning up?
Ooh.
And I'm imagining this is like a community, because you all live in this crawl space, so I'm imagining it's something like above the crawl space as a whole.
Okay.
That like the whole, like it was a spring cleaning day for everyone living there because there was just this dust shaken loose from the top of the crawl space.
I think that Magrim, so she's older. She's a butch of a certain age in her 60s. It's got salt and pepper hair that's heavy on the salt. And she sort of dresses in that kind of like lesbian dandy aesthetic. So, very sort of tweed. She's probably got her sleeves rolled up because it's been a little bit warmer in the crawl space. And she walks with a half a wishbone cane. And so I think she's like using the wishbone cane to move things around. And I think that she finds this this little, like a child's bracelet that she was using as her collar and leash for her house centipede, Jam, who is her trusted pet, which creeps out all of the other folk in the crawl space. But she's been training Jam to hunt termites and silverfish. So, that might creep out other people, but, Jam is very, very useful to her.
Yeah, I love it. What does since you mentioned that you're in like kind of Margrim's like house right now, what does that look like? What does her space look like?
I feel like Margrim is like definitely has fancier tastes, like definitely has like a chess piece on a spool of thread in the corner, has like an actual like dining room table set situation made out of like matchbooks and or like the little whatever, not the matchbooks but the matchboxes,
yeah
that sort of thing. She definitely has like an old thread-worn doll's house couch. So it's sort of like a mixture. It's basically reflective of the style of the house before.
Yeah.
Not what it's becoming, which is much more minimalist and modern. Magrim is not sure that she approves of that. But, it's I think that she's built out her house in like a cigar box situation.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that she brought this cigar box from Underbed, which is her last name, and where she used to live. She used to live under the teenager's bed. And she is resentful that she had to move out from under there, but you know, the teenager was just moving stuff around too much, kicking things under there. It was too disruptive. Yeah, and I think in the corner there is a little picture frame that has a picture of her ex-wife, but it is down. She keeps it there. She keeps it dusted, but it is like very purposefully turned over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And that just leaves Douglas or Dougie. The question for you is, if you squeeze behind the walls of your house, meaning like the house that you live in, not like the human house, not your little house. If you squeeze behind the walls of your house and clamber up beyond the old mouse nest, you can peer out of an old dirty window to the garden outside. What most scares you about the outside world?
This is Douglas Dougie McIntosh. He's about 7 inches tall, and wields a hammer made of a pencil and 2 bottle caps. And he has one eye from a rat attack when he was very young. He got his name from an overturned apple box that was on just a pile of trash in the back of the house. And once the youngers started coming around and they finally cleaned that, he had a very large family, which all but him, his mother, and his very young sister named Erin, they all left, and that left Douglas to sort of pick up the pieces. Now we live in a hollowed out cinder block in the crawl space. I think when he climbs up and views out that window, sort of wiping the grime away and trying to get a good look, he sees the cat being menaced by a few mice. Like, it's to the point where, because of the poor management of this large property, the mice have become sort of an infestation where they terrorize the cat instead of the other way around. And because of his experiences with small rodents, Dougie is just, I don't want to go out there. You can't make me. And sort of slinks back to the crawl space after getting a good look, sort of scouting himself, and goes back to his job of pulling the giant pull light switch to turn on the lights for the town, which sometimes works, sometimes don't. Taking care of his mother and sister.
Yeah. So this is all kind of, it's kind of morning. This is happening. Wendelina skating, Margrim kind of cleaning and looking around, and Dougie making the trek up to the light switch. I think the wherever the three of you live, so the cinder block and the cigar box, and then Wendelina, wherever it is that you're living right now, are like, you're like neighbors to each other. Like, maybe you didn't know each other before, but since you've moved to the new space, you're right in amongst each other. And we can do a scene of this, of you all talking about this and whatever this is. But I think the next thing that you all need to decide as characters is, what is the thing that all three of you are wanting to get from the house next. There's like some item that would be helpful to all of you, and we can do like a little scene of either you realizing that you need this thing, or you all, talking, your neighbors kind of as you're coming going, saying like, oh, this would be really nice for us to have sometime during either this day, a previous day. It's kind of nebulous whenever this conversation is happening.
I feel like maybe the cigar box is either above or below the cinder block.
Oh, yeah.
Margrim like brings food down to Doogie's mom. every once in a while. And they like hang out and gossip.
That's very cute.
Um, I think Mergrim realizes that she doesn't have any more tea. And this is an issue. So I think she walks down to the cinder block and sees Doogie.
I think
hey there, neighbor.
Sorry, I think it's Dougie, right?
Or Dougie.
Yeah,
sorry.
it's Douglas Dougie.
Dougie.
Yeah.
He's Dougie. Says, hey there, neighbor. I was wondering, do you have any tea possibly?
I don't drink dirty water, so I would definitely ask my mother. She's much more worldly when it comes to drinks. I'm usually water kind of guy. But yeah, I'll take you to her and you can ask her.
What are you all? Are you talking about me out there? I'm not going to try to do a Scottish accent, by the way, for your mom. Douglas is going to be the only one in his family who has a Scottish accent.
He watched the Humans TV, and he just saw Brave over and over.
He's just
like
made up
they
this
accidentally
for himself.
had it playing on loop when he was a kid. It's just like, all right, I talk like this now. The rest of the family, no accent.
I greatly admire your ability to do accents. I do not have that ability.
Yeah, me
So, but yeah, so Dougie, your mom is calling from inside. Are you talking about me out there, Dougie?
Yes, we are, Mom.
I was wondering if you might have any tea possibly.
She
Come in and talk to you.
Yeah, open
shouting.
the door. The cinder block is kind of slanted, so all the furniture is glued to the floor with like old bits of chewing gum, and just like sort of sliding ever so slightly.
I use my stick to sort of balance myself as I walk in. Like, I'm used to this. This is
Dougie's mom, Siobhan, is in a rocking chair, but because of the way that the floor is slanted, the rocking chair is just forward. So I think she also has like a little stick or something that she kind of just holds on to so she doesn't fall out of the chair. And she says, "Oh, have a seat. What can I do for you?"
I sit down a little too heavily and the chair just sort of skids a little bit back. I'm doing all right, but it's morning and I just ran out of tea. I was hoping maybe you might have a little bit to spare.
Oh, I think we have some of that, maybe some chamomile from when we were outside. I think that's just, that was out in the garden, but I don't know how much of it I have left. Erin, can you be a dear and check for the chamomile? And Erin, Dougie's little sister, who's about 12, jumps up. She was sitting, maybe on one of the couches or something, jumps up and, "Oh, okay, yeah, Mom," and kind of goes off, is rifling around. I'm trying to think of how to get Windalina in here. First of all, I think, Zay, what is Windalina's house? Like, where are they in, relation to Dougie and Margaret?
Right. Well, we kind of settled on Margaret having taken in Windalina.
Oh.
So I think, Margaret, as long as you're fine with this, it is sort of a, like, adjoining house that's almost more like a lean-to built onto the side of Margram's cigar box.
Yeah. I was thinking it's either that or the roof. Like,
so it's just like a stack.
Oh, that is that.
It's like a little apartment building.
Yeah, it is better. It's like have the bedroom, the attic apartment above the garage.
What do you think it's made of? Because we have like cinder block, and then we have like cigar box. So whatever it is has to be like
lighter,
smaller, littler.
It's paper bag.
It's a literal house of cards.
Yeah.
Ooh, actually, that's great. But I'm going to say it's tarot cards stolen from. They were on the shelf where Windalina used to live. So it's like 4 cards just propped up, held together with with chewing gum to like seal the cracks,
Yeah.
and then holes punched in them to run string through that Windolina will just tie all of their finds to.
Oh, nice. I like that a lot. Yeah, so I think if you're that close, Windolini, you can just hear this conversation, especially because
It's very loud.
Yeah, Dougie's mom, Siobhan, is like, you know, maybe a little hard of hearing, maybe speaks a little bit louder, so you can hear them talking about this tea situation.
Yeah, I think Windolina has been skateboarding outside, has been practicing, trying to get some, some cool tricks down.
Can one of the half pipes be made out of a tarot card too? It's like a bent up tarot card.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Your
Yeah,
house used to be a little bit bigger, but you really wanted this half pipe, so you were like, all right.
I had like a back wall that was half a card, and I was like, I actually don't need that wall. No, I don't need that. And so I just took that out, and that's been folded into a little half pipe. Yeah, so I think I'm actually just gonna wait and see where I'm gonna look for an opening to go, but I think Windolina's outside, like practicing tricks, but listening in.
Yeah. So Erin's like, kind of looking for tea. And she comes back and she says, We have just a little bit of chamomile left, Mom.
I mean, I don't want to put you out. McGrim definitely wants to put her out. But is going to do the politeness thing.
Yeah, Siobhan says, Oh, it's no problem at all. I'm sure we could get Dougie to go out and get some more chamomile. He always used to do it for us when we lived in the apple box.
We do. We it's ever since these new people came in, it's all been coffee, coffee, coffee. There's no tea in the house anymore. It's a real issue.
These younger folk they don't respect the old traditions of the house.
They're all hustle and bustle, moving things around. Under bed, like my old home is just destroyed. It's just boxes and socks everywhere.
Erin sneezes as she's going through the stuff because of all the dust that's been kicked up.
I think this is when Windolina pokes their head in. And is, I saw some tea, but recently in the pantry there's a tin I haven't found yet.
Really? Oh, wouldn't that be nice, Siobhan? Oh, some real tea again.
It's been a long time since I've had a proper brewed tea other than just the plants that I used to find outside.
Yeah, I think that'd be good, but I haven't been out there in quite a while. And I just sort of like shake my cane a little bit to like emphasize.
Yeah, Erin, who's making the chamomile tea, no one has said anything otherwise, and someone will surely drink it, kind of looks wistfully up and says, I've never been out there. I've just the apple box and then here. It'd be kind of exciting to go.
Oh, it's dreadful. Wouldn't recommend it at all, honestly. I mean, it was beautiful back in the day. In my day. Siobhan, in our day.
In our day, it was beautiful.
It wasn't that great, to be honest.
Pretty exciting now.
Remember.
Yeah. There's a lot of those places to hide behind. There used to be that bust of some sort of playwright or something like that. There was a lot of different knickknacks and things to hide behind, but now it's all minimalist. Heard them saying that word a lot.
Terrible stuff. Windolina, you've probably been out there more recently than any of us. Whereabouts was this tea?
Oh, in the pantry. On one of the shelves in the back, there's a couple of tins.
Pantry.
I have to say, the kitchen, it's a bit dangerous.
Yeah.
It's a lot more sparse.
More sparse. It's more clean than it's ever been before. And everybody's in it all the time.
Far too clean.
Ugh. dreadful business.
Oh,
But
Dougie, won't you be a dear and just pop out to the garden and get some of that chamomile?
I mean, the kitchen has probably a lot more and it won't be covered in dirt. But I mean, that's entirely possible to grab it from the garden. I mean, doing it on my own, I can, but if you want me back, that might be an issue.
Oh, but Dougie, you used to do it all the time when we lived out there.
Right, it's because we lived out there that it was a lot easier.
She just kind of shakes her head, pushes
all right.
pushes herself back so her chair can rock.
how old is Dougie?
I'd say he's about like 34.
Okay.
In whatever time borrowers live in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I was rereading the book last night. I didn't get through all of it, but it seemed from the borrowers that like their conception of time and like the time that they live is very similar to humans. And in fact, I think the book kind of implies that they used to be humans, but they're just very stuck up and scared of things and got like smaller and smaller because they were like afraid.
They're like really just like kind of snooty and sometimes even disgusted by humans.
Yeah, that they're like very kind of mostly small-minded and afraid, and so that made them become smaller and smaller just as actual people.
Not gonna grow.
Yeah.
I used to be about 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
I was in my youth.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe you.
But yeah, so I think that as far as like ages and stuff like that, it's pretty similar to humans, to human beings. But yeah, Dougie, you have a lot of family. I was kind of assuming you weren't the oldest, but did you think Dougie was the oldest? Do you think you're kind of
there are a few that are older, like a couple older brothers and older sister, and the rest were younger.
Cool. So yeah, your mom is just kind of like shaking her head.
All right. I'll go get the tea from. I'll go get the dirty tea from the garden. That sounds like a great.
Oh no, Shabad! Like we should get the tea from the pantry. I mean, like no, this chamomile is lovely. It really is, but it just doesn't have the zing of a proper cuppa, you know.
Markham, I think a little venture would be good for you.
Yeah, you know, it's been a little boring since moving out from under the bed, you know, and been a little quiet since Glanity decided to up and go wherever it was that she happened to go.
I think as soon as the name Glanity comes up, Windolina is immediately like rolling their eyes like, oh, we're going to be here forever.
All right, Glanity.
We're going to be here forever.
Aaron says, who's Glanity?
Windolina's like behind Margaret.
Glanity.
Like,
no. Dougie and Windolina like share a glance like.
Glanity, Aaron, was the love of my life. The love of my life. And then we were living under the bed and it was fine and everything was great. Nobody had been in there for a long time. And then as soon as trouble came, Glanity just up and left me. Just up and went. That's not a word.
That's terrible.
Absolutely awful. Like, just, I mean, I'm so easy to live with, aren't I, Windolina?
Windolina. You know, at least you know what happened to her in the upheaval.
Well, I mean, I know she left, but I don't know what. I mean, she took some of her things, but not all of them, and I don't know. I don't even know if she's still in the house. She might be outside. She might be in the house. She might have been eaten by one of these small human beings. Who can say? Who could possibly say? And that's why, Aaron, you should avoid contact with those creatures, those horrible, evil creatures.
Yet the amount she's talked about, it feels like she's still with us.
I mean,
It does feel like she's here.
look, it's like a weight on my heart every day, Dougie. Every day. You know, you've seen me. I go and I look at the underbed to see if she's ever going to come by and try to get the rest of her things. Smoking my
The
little
only piece
cigarette.
I get.
I haven't seen her. Not head or tail.
She had a tail.
That's new.
Questioned.
Oh.
I turned to Siobhan. These kids. Really?
They're so literal these days.
Exhausting.
Aaron's just looking like wide-eyed at everyone. Taking everything in. It sounds like you all want to get some tea for your adventure, which I would say probably means we're headed to the pantry as our location. Does that sound amenable to everyone, or do you want to talk about some other stuff that you could potentially get?
I mean,
Pantry sounds good to me.
we could always use more snacks. Also,
Oh yeah.
I saw these blue bags of it. I think my human being language isn't great, but it was Doritos, and colors like that are very vibrant, and I kind of sounded right.
I don't know about Doritos. Brain.
Siobhan says, "Oh, yes, I've been trying to grow some beans out behind the cinder block to add to, so we don't just only have those terrible mushrooms to eat, but I've had a heck of a time getting them to do anything other than sprout." She just kind of shakes her head sadly.
Yes. I wonder. And like I think Grim like pulls out this little notebook that she's made with like a bunch of like paper that she's folded up, and she starts writing and designing something. She's like, maybe a little light like this would do design. And I think what she's designed is like a small, like one of those little LED lights that you can sometimes find. This is very specific, but they're tiny LEDs that you can put inside balloons so that the balloon lights up. So they're small enough that McGrim is like, this could be kind of fashioned into a hanging light fixture over the plants, and you need to have enough of them, but it's potential. There's some potential there. There's just not enough light in here to grow proper plants. Mushrooms, no problem. Plants,
Siobhan's kind of looking as you're drawing and like nodding her head as if she completely understands what you're doing, but she absolutely does not. She's just like, oh yes, I can see how that
I'm like
would...
muttering and like chewing on the pencil lead. So my mouth is like getting a little bit black on one side. I'm like, oh yeah, like this, and like maybe a little bit of this, and that would, not that though, that wouldn't work at all, but this would work.
Yeah, so as that's happening, if we're doing the pantry, I've just been kind of glancing over at the rules. If we're doing the pantry to get some tea and some Doritos, whatever else might be fun there, we can all together pick 2 obstacles and 1 hazard from the location page. And if you'd like, it says if your group would like the events of the expedition to be more of a surprise, the guiding voice, aka me, can choose the hazard secretly without revealing it to the group. We can do either. I don't have a preference for one or the other. But let me look at the things for the pantry.
I like secret hazards.
Yeah, I love the idea of you picking.
Cool. Okay, well, I will mention the obstacles so that we kind of know what we are working with. And then all together we'll pick 2 obstacles. I'll secretly pick a hazard. Ooh, and I think I know what I want it to be. Okay, so the obstacle options are hidden traps and strips of glue paper dot the floor to keep pests at bay. One obstacle is how to climb up the sheer shelving without dislodging anything. The other option is the things you're looking for are stored at the top of the pantry, so harder to get to. One of the ways to quickly cross from one high shelf to another is along a rope strung between them that the biggies use to hang bunches of dried herbs, but it's treacherous. Potatoes are heavy and liable to tumble all over the place when you try to climb the bag that they're in. And then the final one is there's only one way into the pantry that doesn't involve crossing the kitchen first, and it's through a small ventilation grate in the brickwork at the top of the room. And then the kind of question of that one is how do you open the grate without sending it tumbling to the floor below? So all of us together can pick 2 of those obstacles that in the fiction of the game, Windalina is the one who knows these things because they've been to the pantry recently. Do any of those stick out to you as being particularly fun?
They're all very good.
Great sounds really fun because that is both dangerous and involves our different strengths, I think. Because coming up with some sort of gadget to keep the grate from falling, but also needing to have the strength to hold it up and the agility to maneuver it gives each of us something to do. So that's really interesting to me. What are your thoughts?
I like it.
Yeah, I like it too.
I feel like the other obstacle that goes really well with that is one of the ways to quickly cross from one high shelf to another is along a rope strung between them.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we have to come to one high shelf and then cross to it. Rather, our options are to go all the way down and back up another shelf or across the string of herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely not my strong suit.
Yeah. I think those are fun and they're pretty different from each other too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's cool. And then I'm secretly picking a hazard.
Also, I feel like there's a slim possibility that they will have these LED lights, but I feel like this family seems modern enough that they might have had a party like that at some point.
Yeah.
And they would probably be on the top shelf. That
feels
feels
kind of tucked out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
Where you keep
stuff they don't access very often.
Yeah, I'm thinking of where you keep birthday candles or whatever.
Yeah.
In my cupboard, it's the top and the back because it's I don't need them that often, but I don't want to get rid of them because then you always need them and you have to go buy them. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so those are the obstacles we've picked. We've picked the grate at the top of the kitchen. Actually, let me just copy and paste this whole thing into my notes so I'm not going back and forth all over the place. And then the other one is I do like the shout out to the potatoes prompt, even though we're not using it because that one is very fun.
The prompt is great.
Yeah.
There's an illustration in my copy of the Borrowers that's Arietti rolling this potato to her mom down this passageway, and the potato's taller than she is, and she's just pushing it. Very cute. All right, and then
I remember that exact moment because I remember her mom was you didn't have to bring the whole potato.
Yeah, she's I didn't know how much you wanted, and I was you can't roll it back now; it'll get all dirty.
And it's that is such I feel that is so universal and timeless, that kind of discussion.
Yeah, where
the teenager is not paying enough attention, and the mom isn't really being clear enough either.
Yeah. There's another part in that that same section where Arietti basically doesn't want to have to do any work anymore, and so she sits down and starts writing in her diary because most borrowers like can't read or write, and she can, and she knows that if she tells her mom she's writing the diary, her mom will ask her to do anything because her mom is like really proud of the fact that Ariadne can like write, and so she's like, Mom won't bother me now that I'm writing in my diary.
I lived like this when I was a child, which is why I was a very manipulative child. I was like, that's genius.
When you're a child, all you really have is your ability to manipulate. You don't really have any other powers. So, okay, then what's the next thing that we're doing? Is I believe is the where the dice rolling begins is the next thing. Set the scene, establishing questions. We did that. Chart a path. We did that. Place obstacles. Okay. So the next part is the scout, which is kind of Wendalina's that kind of character archetype. The rules say even the best scout in the world can't remember everything, and in a house filled with biggies, things are liable to change. Once the location has been populated with obstacles and hazards, it's time to roll the dice to find out how things have changed since the scout returned from their initial recon mission. And then I will potentially make some secret changes. So, Wendalina, go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your perceptive, and let me know what you get.
All right, my perceptive is 5, and that's a 6 and a 4, so that's a total of 15.
Nice, cool. Your memory is good. The guiding voice makes no changes to obstacles, so that's good to know. Although, if anyone in chat wants to change that, $10, you can throw some obstacles in the way.
Obstacles are fun.
And then the next thing is the rest of the group collectively tests their luck, which I think Wendalina also has the highest lucky score. You have 5. I think the other two, if you have 3.
Wendalina has like 2 skills and is very lucky, and that's about it.
So each player rolls 1d6. So you all get a hand in this one. And then the 2 highest rolls plus the lucky score is the test your luck result. So let me know what you each get.
Got a 1.
2.
Zay, what did you get?
A 2.
Okay, so that's still not bad because it's 7 plus 5, right? So that's still 12.
Yeah, it would be a 12.
So don't ask me to know anything.
Is this plus your lucky?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is this plus your lucky score?
It's plus Wendalina's lucky. So you pick who's the highest. So Wendalina's has 5. So yeah, so 12 is still pretty good. Let me see if I need to do anything. This might be, a pretty routine kind of thing. Let's see, pantry. Cool. I will make note of that.
Oh, hold on. Let me call Jam. Jam!
Yeah, so to get back into the fiction, Wendalina, do you want to tell the other your friends of like kind of what the layout of the pantry is and like what the obstacles are? Since you're the one who knows.
Yeah. Well, no, we could go in through the kitchen, but it's a bit dangerous. The biggies are likely to be out. The dog likes to camp in the kitchen. Now, there is another way in. This is great up at the top. I can get us down there through the floorboards. It's a way in. Trick is, I haven't figured out how to get the grate open. So,
leave that to me. I can't do much, but I can lift a lot of stuff.
Trick will be getting it open, not letting it hit the floor.
Groove on? Or is it like slid on?
I guess that's up to you. Say you can decide, or you could decide Wendalina doesn't necessarily know.
Wendalina is like, Wendalina thinks back and is like, I didn't pay any attention. Okay. They were like, they're like, screws? Yeah, screws.
Normally I'd roll an insight check.
I think it's pretty obvious that Windolina is not certain about this.
I just sort of like, okay. All right, I know what I'm going to bring in my kit. And I'm going to start packing some things up. I think I fashioned myself like a little backpack kind of thing. And I'm gonna, I think, since Mergrim used to live in the, like, under one of the beds, she's picked up a lot of, like, earring, like, bits.
Yeah.
And she's picked up, like, long chains from necklaces that might have broken. So she has some chains, she has some earring, like the hangy bit of the earring. And I think one of her prized possessions is just the head of a screwdriver. Just the head.
Like the screw part or like the handle part?
Like the screw part.
Okay.
The like the end. But
Yeah.
you know, like you can get those screwdrivers that like
yeah. That have like the bits.
You can have the switchable bits. She has one of those bits. Now, whether or not it's the right one, we'll see. But she has one, so she packs that in.
Yeah.
It's like slightly smaller than the standard size.
Yeah.
So it just like kind of slips out. It's like, gosh.
Yeah, I think it's the it's not the Phillips head ones. It's just the flat.
Yeah.
The flathead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So workable, but maybe more difficult, depending.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are there any sort of like which you can feel free, any of you, to talk about the things that you're bringing or what you're doing to prepare, but also if during the course of the game there's something that you want to say, like, oh, my character has this, it doesn't have to be something you're saying now. I'm not trying to like like get you into lock you down on specifically what you have, but with that, does Margrim have any like inventions that she has that she's bringing, or gadgety kind of things?
Well, what I'm thinking is Mergrim has an idea for creating like a chain system that can go through the grate and then use the earrings to like hold it so that they can fasten, like they could basically like open the grate but like hold it from hitting the floor with these earrings.
Yeah.
And I think she's also got some thumbtacks, which are she has some flathead thumbtacks, but she also has the the ones with the end on it. And she's like, oh, like, not my thing, but I bet Windolina could use these to like as like mountain climbing gear, basically. Or it could be used as like a stepping spot to create a makeshift ladder, that sort of thing. So she's got things like that. But I think for the grate, her plan is to have Dougie reach through and unscrew it if it needs to be unscrewed, and then to like have this thing basically chain it up and then affix it
falling. Makes sense.
That's her current plan.
Dougie and Windolina, is there any stuff that you're like, your character's like, oh, I gotta bring this, a little getting ready montage of, including Margrim getting jam ready, running around looking for all these little bits and bobs. What about the other two of you?
I think Dougie is, well, first he asked the question, are we trying to get a little bit like out of the can, or should I just get the whole can?
Oh.
We could turn it into a house too.
To be honest, I don't think they'll notice.
They probably won't.
Get the whole can, that would be incredible. The whole town would be delighted.
He just gets a whole bunch of like all the bits of twine and like ties them together to try and get as long to reach the floor, with a plan of using safety pin grappling hook to get up to the or to hook it onto the grate all the way down. So when he's at the bottom, he'll tie it up and then climb back up and lift.
Yeah.
We'll see how heavy it is. I've never tried to lift a tea tin before, so we'll find out. How heavy can dry leaves be?
Yeah, what about Wendelina? What are you doing to get ready?
Yeah, well, Windalina's got her climbing rope. That she takes everywhere. Little safety pin grapple on that. And they've got their satchel, and I think their process for getting ready is going in to the little desks that they have set up, which are just like more. I think those are folded playing cards. They're a little bit smaller, so they just fold up in the corner, and just opening up her satchel and just like scooping an armful of whatever is on the desk into the satchel and just being like, "This will be good. This will be good."
How do the two of you feel about Jam? I think is another.
Oh, Dougie hates Jam. Like, the only reason he hasn't either like thrown out Jam or just like stepped on him is just because Mark Grimm loves Jam so much. So he's just
Jam.
like,
I sleep with Jam. Jam's in my bed with me.
That makes my
sort of like
skin crawl.
Yeah.
All 15 pairs of legs.
Yeah.
It's sort of like a cat. When they know that you don't like them, you are the one person they zero in on. So it's just like Jam's like crawling around Dougie's feet. He's just, all right, good to see you, Jam.
And like hello.
Like wrapping around your leg.
Go to my Grimm, please.
You said like a cat, and I'm now imagining, you know how when cats do the whole kneading thing when they make a spot comfortable, but imagine Jam doing that, like on Margaret's bed.
All of the feet.
Please, no.
I don't know if they have little clawed feet or if they don't. But I can also imagine that I feel like there's a lot of cat-like behaviors and definitely cat-like proportions for Jam. But also, I definitely imagine that Margrim plays fetch with Jam, and all of those legs do that tapping thing dogs do when they're excited, but it's like all of them.
Yeah, Dougie, so you'll be like in your house, and then upstairs from the neighbors, you'll hear the skittering.
Windalina was not big on Jam early on, or really tried to keep their distance. However, since they've discovered the skateboard, and they now look at Jam in a new light because Jam has so many legs, and that has got to come in handy. And she's convinced she's going to teach Jam how to use the skateboard as well.
Oh my God.
So she would like to find
Jam
a skateboard
definitely
for Jam.
like when you're riding around, Jam like follows you.
Oh my God.
It's like I feel like Jam is like very, very sweet and friendly and doesn't understand why like everyone is really creeped out by him. Like, also Jam regularly, like a cat, will like leave like dead termites like at the door.
So upsetting.
It's like,
can't you just eat them? Can you just eat them by yourself?
and when Jam doesn't scoop out the innards, it's a symbol of love and respect. Like, Jam's giving me the best parts.
Do you eat them?
Look, sometimes times have been rough. Mushrooms are not super nutritious. Yeah, sometimes I've made a bit of a meat pie out of them. You've had some, in fact.
Is that
last Sunday?
Is that what was in there?
Yeah, it was great, wasn't it?
It was, but
Jam is like,
I don't want to insult your cooking, but if you ever do that again, I'm not coming over to your house. I know you're upstairs, but I might have to move the cinder block.
You're just gonna eat mushrooms? How are you gonna be able to lift strong things? You need to keep those muscles up.
With termites?
Yeah! Look at them, all round.
You know, I'm not gonna knock it till I've tried it, and I already tried it, and it was alright.
Exactly.
Just let me know next time so I can mentally
All right,
prepare.
I'll let you know. I suppose that's fair.
As you're gathering things and getting ready, Dougie, I think Aaron's kind of following you around, and like it's like, you know, the doctor thing where it's like scalpel and then, you know, they hand him the scalpel. That's like, you're like, oh, now where's this thing? And like she comes over with it, and as you're kind of getting ready to leave, she says, Dougie, I think Mom's gonna be okay today. Maybe I could go with you and see the rest of the house. She's giving you big, like, puppy dog eyes.
You stay no more than 3 inches away from me at all times. Don't go running off.
I can go?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we'll see how you do, and then going forward, we'll see.
I can help carry things, you know. I can get some extra Doritos.
Looking at this child who is like 3 inches tall and just looking down at her, I think you'll just be just observing today. Let us do the heavy lifting, and
but if there's some light lifting,
we'll find out on the way.
Dougie, let the child do some light lifting. In my day, I was a scout, like Windalina. I used to do all kinds of ridiculous things. Granted,
And I bet she'll tell us about them.
Yes.
She will.
Tell you on the way.
Immediately Aaron starts like running around getting like all this different stuff stashed around the house, and it's like very clear that she has been like wanting to do this for so long, and so she like already has like a little like safety pin and rope thing that she copied from Windalina, and she has like, you know, all the like a little bag and like all this stuff, and so she's like she's bringing a lot of stuff, but then also she keeps like kind of like picking something up and like looking at it and saying, I shouldn't take too much because then I won't have as much room in my bag for stuff I find. And so she's like, you know, kind of putting things back, picking things up, very excitedly.
Yeah. Dougie would be helping, like whenever she puts stuff in the bag, I'm just like, wait, do you need an eraser? We're not erasing anything out on the road.
I was thinking I heard Windalina say it's really high, so I was thinking if someone started to fall, then I could throw the eraser down and it would go under them, and then you would land on the eraser and you wouldn't land on the floor.
That's pretty good thinking.
Is it? It's very creative, and I appreciate your initiative. We have to be very smart about what we bring.
So you're saying that wasn't a smart idea?
That's not what I'm saying.
You're crushing this girl's spirit.
This is very dangerous, and she is 12.
It's
And
very...
what are you bringing, Dougie?
What?
And what are you bringing?
I'm bringing safety pins, matches, rope, a couple of buttons.
I noticed that you didn't mention that you have an eraser, so maybe it would be good for one of us to have an eraser.
Bring the eraser.
There.
We'll certainly use the eraser in this adventure.
She puts it in her bag.
I'm gonna pull Erin aside and like give her a few extra like empty bags. I'll be like, okay, one of the most important things is to just bring more bags. You always need to have a bag full of bags.
Yeah, she's like, by the time you're all ready to go, she has a bag with some stuff in it, and then just like a bunch of other bags, just like kind of all over, just slung.
Perfect.
Having had the experience of almost crushing this child's dreams after he like allowed her to go, Dougie is just like just like not saying anything.
Dougie
while she's covered in
carry
empty
them.
bags.
Don't worry. And fill every bag, and then Dougie will carry them.
That's why we're bringing them along.
I mean, also, you know, we can.
I know that's true, but you don't have to say it out loud.
We could hitch up Jam. We could leave Jam in the grate with like a little like wagon situation. You know?
Should I bring my wagon?
Yeah, bring your wagon.
Yeah, she has like a little wagon, like the wheels are made of like bottle caps, and then like the sides of it's like one of those little red wagons, but the sides of it are like matches, that it's kind of like this little thing. And she starts like, you know, like pulling it along. So she just has like so many bags, a little wagon, and she's like, Dougie'll do the heavy lifting and I'll do the light lifting.
I like add a little bit of tape, I think, to the wheels of the wagon so that it doesn't make noise.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, see, sometimes it's not just about bringing the carrying stuff. Sometimes it's about being clever.
Yeah, sounds like you're all ready to go. I honestly did not think that Ethan was gonna say yes to Aaron coming on. So I'm delighted.
This is a very different world these borrowers live in. A 12-year-old can like learn the basics.
Yeah. And that's...
At least it's not open like living room stuff.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
in a pantry.
Yeah, so she's like super excited to go. And so we're pretty much past the setup phase and we're into the expedition. You all make your way through, I think the way that Wendolina, why don't you narrate like the passage? Like there's not gonna be any tests or rolls or anything for this part because the actual like that kind of stuff starts once you get to the location. But how does Wendolina typically get to like this grate in the pantry? Like what does that look like?
Yeah, so we're in the crawl space. We're already basically in the walls. So I think that the way they get down, there's this like makeshift, it's not quite a staircase. It's more of like a makeshift ramp that kind of switchbacks down the wall. A little way, just outside of our community. So I'm imagining it's a weird collection of stuff. There's definitely like some old paint stirrers, strips of cardboard or like wood shavings that just kind of like go back and forth to make this little ramp, little walkway that can lead you all the way down to the floor. And then Wendolina stops them before. And I should say, Wendolina is using her skateboard to get down this ramp. So it is constantly being way ahead of the rest of them and having to stop and like impatiently wait for the rest of the group to catch up. Except Jam, who has rushed ahead to like keep up with it. And then before we reach the floor, Wendolina's like, I take the secret path and leads them like on this. It's just like a support beam on the wall that gives us just enough of a narrow path to like edge along to get to where this grate is, the top of the pantry wall that I imagine is like an air return.
Yeah.
For the pantry, just kind of feeds into the crawl space here.
Yeah, I think it's also kind of like, I feel like older houses, like a lot of those air returns and stuff were like, I don't want to say like ornate, but like more beautiful than like kind of modern design of like where it's just like kind of the straight, you know, the straight lines. So I think this is one that has like a lot of little holes that are like in the shape of, you know, like something, one of those designs that's like vaguely floral, but it doesn't actually like look like a flower. It's just like, oh yes, that's
it kind of looks like a leaf or a fern, but only vaguely. There's some weird curly cues. It's made of like brass or something.
I think I've also made a little harness to put onto Erin so that like she can't like if she fell, she could be.
Yeah.
I think like 60% of the time she's like on one of my shoulders. She still has a harness on, but
yeah,
just like like, oh, it's tiring to be out here.
Yeah,
It was like,
so that means Dougie's also pulling this like little like toy
yeah,
wagon,
this little
basically.
wagon. He just uses like 3 fingers.
You're like a Disney
because,
dad.
because
Yeah.
is carrying this wagon, I think Jam is in the wagon also a lot of the time, just like tickling Dougie's
like climbing up the little handle up to the hand, just like, ha! Oh, hi, Jam. And I think Aaron's like, are you scared of Jam?
Yeah, Aaron meanwhile like brought snacks for Jam. So like part of the reason why Jam keeps like climbing up the wagon onto Dougie is because Aaron's like holding like a little piece of like cheese or something. I don't even know what. that you know, maybe there's a big wheel of cheese is one of the other few sources of food that Aaron wants.
It's somebody's house. They just hollow it out more and more and just like give people cheese.
Like a big like half of a wheel of Parmesan, and so it's getting like closer and closer to the rind. people just
Every time they
over.
need an expansion, they're just like they throw a feast. They're like,
yes, perfect. Yeah, so Aaron's feeding Jam little bits of Parmesan. And yeah, you arrive at this grate, and so we've established, you know, the grate is at the top of the let me see what the wording was. A ventilation grate at the brickwork at the top of the room. And then the question is, how do you open the grate without sending it tumbling to the floor below, which obviously would make a sound. Another thing that I don't think we've mentioned human beings or giants or human beings or biggies or whatever they are. But one thing that's like a big thing for borrowers is that none of you want to be seen. Like, because the humans, who knows what they would do? You know, they would hire an exterminator or, you know, try to like get you out or like open up this crawl space that you're in. So you really, really, really don't even want to be seen at all by humans is bad news. And it's up to you, I think, if there is any time in your memory. Maybe Mark Grimm would remember, you know, sometime in the past when someone was seen. But it's something that usually doesn't happen. It's like the biggest thing that, you know, borrowers worry about is being seen. So you're at this grate, which I think there's like maybe a little, I'm trying to think of how the grate is oriented as opposed to like the shelves. I'm imagining the shelves are not built into the wall, that there's like shelves that have been put into this pantry, and there's a space, like not a huge space, like not like a chasm, but there's enough space between the grate and the shelf that the grate could potentially fall behind the shelf, which is really what you're trying to avoid. So you're peering through this, you can see the top shelf, and you can see like the ropes, as Gwendolina mentioned, the string that's like going from one shelf to another with these herbs and things hanging off of it. And also, is there anything else? I'll throw it over to you all to, you know, maybe set the scene, establish more things about what's in this pantry. And if it's something really big, like maybe Margrim, that LED light that you want, this could be a good time if somebody wants to roll luck to see if something like that is here.
I mean, I really want to get Siobhan the light situation. So yeah, I'll roll luck to see if I can see like some party supplies that include a couple of those balloon LED lights. They might still be in the balloons.
Oh, yeah.
I might have to cut them out of the balloon.
Yeah, go ahead and roll luck. So you'll roll 2d6, and then you'll add 3 to that.
Okay.
And if you're successful, your luck will go down to 2. If you're unsuccessful, your luck stays the same.
Ooh, so that's 9 plus 3.
Oh, I think that's a success.
12.
Where do I have this? I believe it's 10 plus. Yes! And as a result of 10 plus, you get lucky. The world is as you need it to be. So you do reduce your luck score by 1. But yeah, Margrim,
gonna grow some beans.
Yeah,
Beans.
you peer through one of the holes, and yeah, do you think, I'll let you decide since you rolled successfully on the luck. Do you think they're in a balloon, or do you think they're in like a little package?
I think they're in a balloon. And Magrim definitely has like Magrim is one of those butches that has like not just one knife but several knives on her at all times. And so she's like, ooh, this is great, because not only do I see the telltale lumps of these LED lights, but also balloon latex is super useful for a lot of different things. So she's planning on cutting like almost like strips of fabric out of the balloon to like.
Do you imagine the balloon is like deflated? Like what level of completely deflated? Cool.
Yeah. When I've seen these balloons before, this is a real thing that exists. I didn't make this up, but when I've seen them before, it's like they'll have the LED light already in it, and then all of the balloons will be deflated, so you have to like inflate them all.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I think that she would be like, it's easier to transport these balloons if I cut them up into strips, take the LEDs out, then I can have like, say 4 of the LEDs, but I can cut the balloon up, and then we could take all of that debris with us as well. That would also be potentially useful.
Cool. Yeah, so you're you kind of do a sweep of the pantry and immediately are like, oh hey, the thing that I really want is here, the extra bonus thing. Yeah, Zay and Ethan, are there any other things you want to establish about this pantry? Doesn't have to be like, it can be for flavor, it can be something that's, going to be impactful in your adventure, something that you think would be fun.
I think like during the journey here, every sliver of light, like into the house or like through a wall or something like that, Erin is just like getting as close as she can, trying to peer out and see, and I was just like like in awe of like the childlike wonder, but also like this is fun, but this is not like, ooh, field trip. Like like he has like in the back of his head like, what of a human being saw her through the crack, and and sort of like gives her a second, but then like kind of ushers her along like, all right, we gotta get the tea.
Yeah, she's like got her fingers, like when you get to the grate, she's like got her fingers and it's like looking through and like trying to like straining to see anything in this pantry. It's very dusty, and so the other thing is she keeps like stifling sneezes because of how dusty it is everywhere. Zay, what about you? Anything that you want to establish about
yeah, I think just based on the way we've talked about these human beings as biggies, I'm gonna add that they are, or at least the parents are, like health conscious. So all of the good treats have been thrown out. The pantry. This used to be like an old couple, right? And they had grandkids. This was like full of sugary treats that could just last forever and were in there forever. Like I think this has always been a pretty good source of food, because the people who used to own this house, we're not gonna notice if like some Twinkies disappear. Like there's 3 boxes in there from different decades.
Right.
Yeah.
That's all been thrown out. But we have established that there's a teenager in the house. I think the teenager is allowed to buy their own snacks, but does have to keep them up on a high shelf. So there is at least 1 bag of Doritos.
Yeah.
But just up on like a high shelf where the younger biggies can't reach.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And then also I think maybe on the very top of the shelf, there's like some little like single candies and stuff that have like fallen out of bags from like the previous owner. So it's like, it's the top shelf. It's like, I'm imagining like pretty tall, because like all these old houses have such high ceilings. So it, like the shelves are like, you know, maybe go almost all the way up to the ceiling. So like maybe 8 feet or something like that. So like up that tall, you know, when you're renovating and stuff, you're maybe not going to get up and see. So there's like, you know, some little strawberry candies and stuff like that just loose that are scattered around.
Definitely Werther's original.
Yeah, Werther's, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Grim is like, that's, yeah.
Perfect.
Something about those. They just seem like something that someone of my particular age should have.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. They make like, I think that I have a technique for making them into like a baked good.
Ooh.
Where I like melt them down and then make them into something.
Yeah. That sounds good. I love Werther's. This is also not the first time I've mentioned on stream that I love Werther's. I don't remember what
did. I mean,
so Werther's, if you'd like to sponsor.
Yeah, Werther's. Hey, if you're looking for a new demographic, hit me up.
The Werther's TTRPG coming this summer.
That would be fun. So your first obstacle is this grate. What are you trying first to get this?
Since Erin already has her fingers through the grate, I might try to use that as an opportunity to have her feel the shape of the screws, if there are in fact screws on this grate.
I'm trying to decide if this is also a luck to see if it's the kind of screw that you want it to be. I think this is luck to determine what this screw is. It doesn't have to be, since you just did a luck, it doesn't have to be Margrim who rolls it. Any of you could if you want to. Yes. It looks like you
I haven't rolled for luck yet. That's an 11.
Yeah, that's a success. So go ahead and mark your luck score down to 2.
This is scary though, because this means that our luck is going down.
Yeah.
I've got quite a bit.
Yeah. Erin is like, it makes sense too for Dougie to roll, since it's Erin who's like kind of feeling around. So she's like, oh, this is a very important job, and she kind of like reaches her hand. She like finds the hole that's like closest to the the edge where the screw might be, and reaches around, and she's like, you want it to be like a flat head, right? Because that's the kind of thing that you have. So she's like,
yeah, that's the one we have.
Yeah, she's like, it feels like just a little line. Like I can feel the screw, and it just feels like a little.
All right, good job, Erin. And I like pull out the screw head.
Yeah.
And I hand it to Dougie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this is. I'm trying to think of what role this is. I would say either sturdy, but I almost think agile to like be able to get your arm like the right way, and then sturdy would be to actually push it out. So I think this is agile, which if that makes you someone else want to roll instead of Dougie, that's fine.
Windolina has a very high agile rating.
Yeah. He'll be the one like holding on. Dougie will be the one like holding on to the grate, like just in case it just goes.
So
I like if you'll accept this. I like the idea that maybe you, Margrim, you pass it to Dougie, and Dougie, you go to do it, but you're like you're too muscular, like you can't. You're like. And
I got big arms, but they're short.
Right.
Tis my shame.
No. We'll need those muscles. You hold on, and Windolina just like takes the screw head and just pops their arms like right through.
Yeah.
So easy with your skinny arms. Your skinny long arms.
Oh, okay, Dougie. Like just because you couldn't get your arms through, you'll have.
No. I'm praising the fact that he's that they're doing it so easily, and I. Anyways, I'll hold the grate.
So I think this is
just sort of realizing he let his guard down a little bit too much.
Sam pats you
in front
on
of
the
his sister
back with a bunch of spindly legs.
Oh,
reassuringly.
Like, he can't do anything because he got his hands on the grate, so just like, nope.
So yeah, I think Dougie, go ahead and roll sturdy. And Wendelina, you can roll agile to determine what happens here.
That's a 12 because 6 plus a 5 and a 1.
Nice.
It's a 16. 10 plus
Nice.
6.
This is gonna be a very easy little adventure. Cool. Wait, did you say +1, Ethan? Is your sturdy's more than 1, right?
My sturdy's 6, and 1d6 with a 5, 1d6
I
with
see.
a 1.
I see. Okay. Cool. So yeah, Wendelina, you're actually both of you can just narrate how this goes like perfectly according to plan. This first part of this.
Yeah, I mean, Wendelina just pops her arms through, and I think just very easily is like able to fit this screw head in and just like spins it. I think they get a little bit cocky with it at one point, and kind of as they've got it go, like on the second screw, they've got a system figured out. They're just like rolling it in their arms. And they just kind of look back and wink at Aaron. It is the second screw where, because she does that, she like winks and isn't paying attention as the screw comes loose, and the screw goes like clattering down to the floor. Which I think it's small. I think it's one of those like really small screws, so it doesn't make like hardly any noise.
Yeah, but still in that moment, like everyone, like Aaron is just like, as you hear just a little like tinkly, barely audible sound, but still audible as it goes down all the way to the floor.
It's nothing. They can't hear it.
Well, we can't lose more than one, though. Otherwise, we won't be able to put the grate back on. That's going to be a real issue.
Put it back on?
We are going to...
Did you lose every single screw?
No, because she like pulls the first screw out of her sack.
Oh, yeah.
Just the one.
All right.
And you said we can lose one, so like hand that one over to Margaret.
You said we could lose one, so I did.
So do we need to take out only 2? Is that enough to like push it, or do we need to take out all 4?
I think you just do take out all 4, or at least I think you'd have to take out 3 at least, so you could. Well, if there's a potential that it could fall, I think you have to take out all 4. Because otherwise there would be no potential for it to fall.
When we get the 2 out, before we get the other 2 out, I think Margrim is going to start adding her hooks, and like start attaching them to the ceiling, so that it can be sort of winched open and winched shut.
I think this is probably resourceful or cunning for Margrim, whichever. I think either fit. Or reasoned, actually. I think any of those.
I think it's reasoned because I think it's constructing.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I'm gonna go for that. And that's great. That is a 14.
Nice. Yeah, so you are able to get this arranged how you'd like for it to be.
I think I've got like 4 earring backs, and I think I have totally. Wendelina will notice that I've taken some of the gum that they have, and like I'm using that to affix the earring things in place, and be like, yeah, okay, so then they don't shift. That's very important, because if they slide back and forth, they're going to make a noise, and it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah. I think I'm trying to decide now if there should be one last roll, since each of you have done like your individual things of like getting this set up. I feel like there should be one last roll, just that all of that, like nothing gives and no one like, slips up as you're letting this thing down on this thing that Margrim has made. And I don't know what this last roll should be? Maybe resourceful, because that's kind of like escape, fix, or track, and this kind of seems related to like fix, like it being in like kind of the right spot, and you've all used like your different resources to do this. So I think we'll do resourceful. So whoever wants to roll that as like the last thing to.
That is definitely my department.
Yeah.
I've got a 1.
So.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll that.
It's gonna be hard to fail. Yeah, that's 14.
Cool. So what does this look like as the three of you, with however much help from Aaron and Jam, get this thing off of the wall and like resting on this thing that Margrim built? What does that look like?
So I think what Margrim has created sort of like a winch system. And I'm picturing this as using the earring backs, and then there's chain, and then there's like the lobster claw clasps, and she's tacked the lobster claws into the ceiling, but so that way it creates a sort of like winch system. And then she has another lobster claw clip, and she can clip it onto the necklace so it holds tight and taut. And she has, she like makes sure that it's sturdy enough for them to be able to like step on it without it like breaking, basically. So she like taps it a couple of times with her cane, and you know, she has Jam go and check it out. But I mean, Jam's very, very light, so that doesn't really say much. But then she's like waves Gwendolina to go and see if it's sturdy enough. Yeah, I mean, so I think that the thing is that this is very obvious. Like, it looks like it is slanted.
Yeah.
So there is a higher likelihood that if an adult human being comes in, they might be like, what is happening with this crate?
Held on by gum and earring bags.
Yeah. I mean,
that's where all these went.
I think like Gwendolina's probably a little pissed that Margrim like took some of her gum without asking.
I think it's like it's one of those like mint gums is blue colored, so it's like very obvious. I'm like, nobody else has a gum that big. Like, that's mine. That's my gum.
We'll get you some more, but look at how useful it is. We're gonna save all of our
I don't keep gum in the pantry.
Some people do.
I was saving that.
Do you think that Gwendolina's gum was like a stick of gum, or like a chiclet of gum, or do you think it was like chewed gum that they had?
It was chewed gum.
Yeah.
It was chewed gum.
And I mean, I think this is like the ongoing debate between Gwendolina and Margrim of like, Margrim's like, but this could be useful now, and Gwendolina's like, yeah, but it could be useful for something else later.
Yeah.
I've got an idea for that.
Right.
I also love the idea that, like, you know, Gwendolina, like, you know, is tucking the screws and everything away, and then like the scent of like mint like hits their nostrils, and they're like, hang on.
I know that mint. That's my mint.
Margrim wiping her slightly sticky, slightly blue hands. So this, you know, goes off perfectly. Dougie is able to, like, you know, lower it just into the right place. And immediately Aaron is like so excited to like be out in like the world of the biggies, that once it's determined that it's like, you know, this is safe and she's allowed to go onto the pantry shelf, she jumps down and is looking around. I think
go with her.
Yeah, I think when you she kind of jumps down and like is not at the end of her of this harness. Yeah, but you feel the harness go, and you can't quite see. Like, she kind of like darts off to the side, so she's kind of out of your vision. And Dougie, when you jump down, you see Erin stuck in a spider web, and she's just kind of looking like, and she goes, sorry, I didn't quite see. And as she's like struggling,
do not move.
You can see spiders coming from around.
Jam, this is your area. This is what we've trained for. Jam rears up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think with that little moment, I think this is a good time for us to take our break. We're almost 2 hours in. Erin in peril, and spiders surrounding you. So we are going to
Was bringing a kid on a dangerous expedition a bad idea?
Listen, it's good for the narrative. It's good for the narrative. Yeah. Especially when you're succeeding so easily on every roll.
You gotta have someone that's gonna make the dumb decision.
Yeah. Somebody has to run into the spider web.
After this, I am tying Erin to like I'm making a sling on my chest, and it's like, you're going to stay here.
So we're gonna take a 15-minute break.
Use the spider web.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just she's already sticky. We're gonna take a 15-minute break. So we'll be back in 15. While we're on break, you'll be able to see more info about our guests that'll be on the break screen. There's also a good time to get up, stretch, have a bio break, get a drink, whatever it is that you need to do. And we'll see you all in about 15 minutes. You want to say goodbye to chat for now, everybody?
Bye, chat.
Bye, chat.
Bye for now. Felicitations, adventurers. We are back with our second half of Under the Floorboards by Chris Bissett. And so far we've had a pretty successful outing from our 3 borrowers. They have recently gone into a little bit of trouble. But before we get into all of that, for anyone who is just catching us in the second half, I'll have us all reintroduce ourselves and talk about some other places on the internet where you can find us. I'll go first. If you're new here, like you're watching the stream to see some of the guests and you don't really know who I am, my name's Taylor. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the person who is organizes Roll for Felicity, and I'm also usually the DM, GM, guiding voice, narrator, etc., etc. But not always. A couple people have guest GM'd. And the other places you can find me, I'm on Twitter at Roll for Felicity, and my YouTube is also, if you search Roll for Felicity, you'll find my YouTube. So that's the main stuff that I've got going on. And then, I should also mention next month I have some really exciting streams. One that Kitty is going to be on again in our 3rd game of Basic Witches, which will be prom themed. I'm very excited for that. And then I'm also going to be doing another one-shot of the game Briar and Bramble, which was successfully kickstarted. I did a stream back then to promote the Kickstarter, and now I'm going to be doing a stream to promote the full color version that Kickstarter successfully funded, and now it's available that you can get the PDF. I think just the PDF, maybe the physical copy. I can't remember for sure, but either way, gorgeous. It's absolutely beautiful. So we're going to be doing another one shot of that with different players than the first one, which will be the first time I'm doing that, because those players who were originally on Briar and Bramble we're still in the works, but we're planning something with them, so I didn't want to book up their schedules too much. That's me, and I'll throw it over to Ethan for you to reintroduce yourself and talk about any other stuff you got going on, stuff to plug, where people can find you, etc., etc.
I don't have too much to plug. I'm Ethan. I go by he, him, and I have a Twitter. It's Crazy Ethan, CRAZ Ethan, or at CRAZ Ethan, and I do art. It's like I am open to doing commissions. I haven't really started doing that formally, but yeah, if you want art done in the style of the art in the chat or similar, then absolutely feel free to DM or whatever. Other than that, I'd sing opera in Atlanta and have fun doing that.
So if you're in the Atlanta area, just kind of keep an ear out. Kitty, what about you? What other stuff do you have going on?
Yeah, so I'm Kitty Stryker. I go by she, her pronouns, and you can find me online at Kitty Stryker on Twitter, officially Kitty Stryker on Facebook. I do enjoy doing live streams like this, but most of what I do online is talk about consent culture. I'm just editing a consent culture workbook that's going to be a bunch, 28 prompts, so a month's worth of prompts that's going to help encourage people to think about how they can create a consent culture in their day-to-day lives, not just around sexuality, but also this could be useful for students. It could be useful for families who are trying to work on some weird dynamics. It can be helpful for all different kinds of relationships, organizing groups. So I tried to make it very general. Yeah, so I'm very excited. That should be coming out in like 2023. So you have plenty of time to wait for it. And other than that, that's the majority of what I do. I also do, I have a Patreon. I have a Patreon for my writing, which is patreon.com/Kitty Stryker. And then I have a Patreon for my cooking, which I have been teaching myself to cook and learning a bunch of new techniques. And that's patreon.com/Kitty Learns to Cook. If you follow me on there, then you get access to a bunch of cool recipes, easy hacks. Almost everything I cook is done in under an hour, preferably under half an hour. It uses as few bowls as possible. And some of it's vegan, some of it's meat, all different kinds of stuff. So yeah, check it out.
And then that just leaves Zay. You want to reintroduce yourself and also mention other stuff you got going on? And while you do that, I'm going to close my screen door because I can hear the sounds of children playing, which is great. but but not the best audio. So I will be right back.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Zay. Pronouns are they, them. I play a lot of RPGs whenever I get the chance, and I also dabble in writing them. I've released a couple of indie RPGs, which you can find on my itch page, which is wildjblue.itch.io. Same username you can find me on Twitter, at wildjblue, where I will announce games that I'm working on. Sometimes I talk about my thoughts behind it in my design process. I also will sometimes throw out calls for testing. So if you're interested in testing a game, like follow me there. I also just yell about my weird opinions about comic books or politics or whatever strikes my fancy that day. So if you want to hear more of my opinions, you can find me there too. I think that's me.
Yeah, I will also say I have been lucky enough to play test 2 of Zaya's games, and they're very good. I play tested You Can't Go Back Again, which was great, and then also what is it? Totally Normal Humans.
Totally Normal Human Roommates, which just released yesterday. Yeah, one day I will give a like catchy normal name to one of my games, but
I think they're both
it will not
good
be by
names.
choice.
That's a great name.
Yeah, it's very I played it with Mila, who's been on stream before, and it was very like What We Do in the Shadows vibe. I think, what was my character? I can't even remember what my character was. A ghost?
Yeah, you played a ghost. I can't remember your name, but you played an old ghost.
Yeah, it was a very odd
like
couple.
This big homebody. It was, yeah.
I was a ghost and Mila was a mummy.
A mummy.
Yeah.
An ancient mummy. You sort of let a vampire acquaintance run havoc on some trick-or-treaters. And then
it was very fun.
Had to step in to try and save the day at the last moment.
Very reluctantly. we were both doing the thing which is terrible when you're a GM, where the players just kind of refuse to like refuse to follow the story beat. Like, we were both going to eventually do it, but we were just like, we're old, we'll send our neighbor out to do this, or send our guest out to do this.
Yeah, it was
which is terrible of us to have done, but it was still
it was
fun.
terrible for a start. It was great because I was like, well, they're just this will cause trouble.
Yeah, things basically just got worse than they needed to be while we were just like, oh, well, we don't really want to do anything. It was very fun.
I mean, not anything. You did try to scare some kids.
Well, that was for fun, though.
Instead,
was...
yelled at. Instead,
Well,
that was not related
yelled at the
to
very nice
Whatever.
I mean, we've all been there.
Yeah.
Kids deserved it.
It was Halloween. Come on.
We've all been some weird people hiding in an alleyway around a corner, trying to jump out and scare some kids.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time.
That's a totally normal human thing to do.
Yeah.
It's very, very normal human thing.
Speaking of very normal humans, we are playing as, of course, very normal humans who just happen to be very small and, borrow things from the biggies or the human beings. So far, the players have pretty effortlessly gotten through the first obstacle, which was this grate that they wanted to make sure didn't fall to the ground and clatter and make a big noise. Also lucky enough to see that this kind of side quest item of these LED lights also in this pantry, like Margaret was hoping would be. And so everything was going very smoothly until Erin, who is Dougie's little sister, who's about 12 years old, very excitedly jumped out at her first foray into the world of the biggies and immediately got caught up in a spider's web with some spiders encroaching. She's kind of struggling against the web, which is just too strong for her to get out of. She's just, she's little and it's a strong web. And I think we left off with Margrim getting her pet house centipede ready to fight these spiders, and Dougie kind of saying that in the future he's just going to attach his sister to him so that she can't do this. She's already on a harness, but
you don't have a leash anymore. You've caused this.
Yeah. But yeah, what do you all want to do?
I think Dougie dons his thimble helmet that he's carved out, I think, for his face, and his mustache gets pushed out to the sides even more than it was before. And first he takes a paperclip and twangs it on the web, diverting their attention as much as possible, and then turns to Margrim and says, do you have any more of that peppermint gum?
I'm frozen. I am just completely I think so. Margrim, she has an ex-wife, Glanady, and I think that when Glanady and Margrim used to sneak off for late night dates and adventuring, this had happened to Glanady before, and Margrim has mixed feelings about Glanady, but this is still a very emotional moment. She sent Jam off to go and help fight off the spiders, but right now she's just kind of and I think I want to roll for enduring to see if I can shake out of it and be useful.
I like that. Yeah,
in this moment.
That's really good. I think go ahead, you roll enduring, and I think Dougie, give me a cunning roll to try to distract the spiders with your little twang of the spider web, and let me know what you guys
think. That's a 5.
Ooh,
that's a 7.
Oh no. Okay, so the bad rolls are finally coming home to roost.
You wanted
second half.
Second half. So yeah, I think with a 5, definitely Margrim is just stopped, frozen, mind racing, just kind of
no, it's happening again.
Yeah,
No, it's happening again.
Yeah, frightened. not in a bad, or not in a good headspace. With a 7 from Dougie, do you have, so a 7 to 9, you do what you intended to do, but with a complication or cost. Do you have an idea in mind for what this complication is? You successfully get the spider. Ooh, I kind of feel like I know what the complication is.
It was intended. Like I can take care of myself more than the sister who is stuck.
Yeah.
But
so yeah, I think the
right,
complication seems like we all kind of have the same idea, which is the spiders are coming for you.
Like
I have another thought for a complication, which is that it works, but it works a little too well, and it even summons another spider.
Ooh, I do like that. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate it. No, I love that.
Yeah, so you quickly, twang this like other web that's like kind of closer to you.
Yeah. Intending for it to be like a little twang, like, ooh, there's something small in there, but it's like
it's like a dinner
vibrates
bell.
through the whole web, like, oh crap.
And it has been established, not to push you into one direction or another with a reaction, but it has been established that Dougie is not a big fan of bugs and creatures and things like that. Yeah. So
with Jam, he can't do anything because Margaret loves him so much. With these, they're
true.
going after his sister.
Yeah,
hammer's coming out.
Yeah, so you're specifically Dougie, surrounded by spiders. Trying to imagine what kind of spiders these would be. Probably like the really, not daddy long legs, which aren't even technically spiders, but like definitely some of those more gangly ones, that are like, very like tiny legs skittering around, that are coming
real creepy
for you.
Ones.
Is there something that Windalina's doing?
Yeah. Especially with seeing the spiders coming at Windalina, I think she's been like a little bit further back on the shelf, or like away from the webs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just put it simply. I want to skate up and kickflip a spider.
Awesome. This is probably agile. I don't know what else that would be.
That's what it feels right to me, and it's also what I'm good at, so it's what I was gunning for.
Yeah. So go ahead and roll your agile.
All right.
Hard to fail, I think, for you for agile.
Yeah, I am.
Impossible to fail? No, you could get 5. You could get like 7 to 9 potentially.
Yeah, I can get an 8. I did roll 14.
Okay. So tell me what this looks like. Oh, actually, and I've been missing this, because I'm so used to playing Monster Hearts, which doesn't have like the super successes. You do what you intend to do, and I tell you an extra benefit or advantage that you receive. I think the other ones I have missed that, so maybe retroactively I could throw you a couple bones, because I think you all have gotten when you were doing the previous thing. I think you all got 12 plus. So let me know what you're doing. If you have an idea for what the extra thing can be, you can let me know. Otherwise, I'll be thinking about what it can be while you're narrating your kickflip.
I think like we see the spider. We all hear the shout. We turn to see the spiders. Dougie goes up and pulls this little twang, draws like a lot of attention. Windalina sees that Margrim is just panicked, not moving, and Windalina just like drops the skateboard on the ground, hops on it, starts to skate towards the spiders, because that's going to be the fastest way to get there, obviously. And we get a little flashback montage of Windalina practicing kickflips earlier in the day, and it is just failure after failure, just like close but not quite, like can't quite land it, can't quite get it right, but we see them getting like a little bit closer, and they skate towards this web, towards these spiders that are approaching Dougie. I think there's a little there's something that can act as a ramp. Like maybe there's like an empty or almost empty box of like candies or chips or something, like a cardboard box that's just been left open.
Yeah.
And they skate into it and then like back out to get a little bit of air. And as they come up into the air, they do just like a nice, the top of the ramp, little kick flip at the spider.
Yeah, the spider goes flying back and like falls off like I think it's like almost like a slow motion, like the spider like flies off the edge of the shelf, its arms and legs like wiggling as it just goes over the edge, Hans Gruber style.
There's all the legs going.
Yeah. Kitty, it looked like you were gonna say something. Did you have?
Yeah, well, I was just like thinking, okay, because you were like, what kind of spider is this? And I was like, oh, okay, let's think about this. What kind of spider is this? What is a spider? Because there's a lot of spiders, you know, to be that person, that are actually really beneficial to the home and are very nice. So what's a mean spider? And what's more importantly, what's a mean spider that also has a web? And I think that the mean spider that has a web is a yellow sack spider.
Ooh.
Which has like a
look
weird tenty sort
Do
of.
I even want to look this up or not?
We're gonna post it in chat. Get ready.
They are venomous, which adds an extra danger.
Ooh, these are creepy.
And they create these sort of flat silk sacks that they hang out in, rather than a web. But they like to be in places where a wall and a ceiling meet, which makes it perfect, I think, for the top of a closet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's that kind of spider.
Yeah, I like that.
That's what I was excited about, thinking about what spider it was.
Yeah, so
those are real freaks.
Yeah, so they're like almost like the translucent yellowy kind of spider. I mean, at least the picture that I found is like yellowy translucent kind of spider. So they're kind of coming towards you, and one of them just got kick flipped into the abyss.
You know, I in real life love spiders. I find them fascinating. When I am the size of a spider in this role play,
yeah,
I'm
not as fun. Yeah.
A lot more like, no, I don't like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I also like spiders do freak me out a little bit. I'm not like, terrified of them. But yeah, imagining being that size and having one of them come at you is not. Especially, there are cute spiders in my opinion, but the ones that Kitty mentioned.
That's what I think. These ones are kind of creepy for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
And don't really offer much benefit. To the home. But I also had done a little bit of research on house centipedes, and house centipedes also have venom. And so I think that while Mergrim might be kind of frozen in place, I feel like Jam is wanting to hunt.
Yeah.
Definitely Jam's thing.
Okay. I think as like kind of a Mergrim Jam thing, I think Kitty, you can roll maybe, I don't know what this would be. Sturdy or agile for Jam. So you'll use your stats. I know that Margrim is not particularly sturdy or agile, but
yeah, I think sturdy for Jam.
Yeah. So go ahead and roll that. And then Zay, did you have an idea of what your extra thing could be for your success?
Yeah, could it maybe help Erin get maybe not fully free, but like loosen her up?
Yeah.
So that she can like an arm free or something.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of
maybe the spider, like as it's falling backward, like as it's doing its little fall, it like pulls at some of the strings.
Or maybe as you're riding on your tech deck, the wheel goes over like kind of a not as strong part of the web and just kind of severs it without getting stuck in it. So like even though it's not like your intention, Erin's arm like kind of comes loose in that moment, and she starts trying to like wiggle herself out.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. Kitty, what'd you get on your sturdy roll?
I got a 10. Oh, Jam got a 10.
Yeah. So yeah, you do what you intended to do and describe what it looks like. So what does it look like as Jam takes out one of these spiders?
So Jam, because Mergrim actually, I think after the situation with Glanady, has started like training house centipedes to be sort of like guard pets in a way. And so I think that this is kind of her emotional support house centipede, and notices that Mergrim is frozen in place, and so goes after one of the spiders, and I think like he uses his little legs to grab on, bites, and then like moves, like skitters away, and is sort of like hunched in front of Mergrim.
Yeah.
Which is something, incidentally, house centipedes do. They like to bite, let their venom take over, and like move away, and then come back in.
Yeah.
When the venom has worked.
Yeah. So yeah, Jam, there's a little crack sound as Gem like bites into the body of the spider and then skitters away. It, is kind of posed protectively in front of Margrim. And then the spider just kind of like its legs curl up to it and it just kind of is like on the ground. Yeah, what's happening next? Who's doing what?
I think seeing that one of Aaron's arms is free, while he is like using his hammer to just keep them at bay, but also keeping their attention, he's going to drop one of his hands for just a moment and toss his X-Acto knife like wrapped in its little wrapped in its sheath, I guess. Like toss it over and be like do what you can, we'll be with you in a second.
Yeah, I think that's probably agile again. Run, jump, dart, dodge, react, that kind of thing. I guess you could make a case that throw is under sturdy actually, so go ahead and do it as sturdy.
That one's an 18.
Okay.
That's 6 and 6 plus 6. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, go ahead and narrate how like this goes perfectly, and I have an idea for what an extra bonus can be, but if you have something, feel free to let me know what a benefit of this. Definitely Aaron catches, gets the X-Acto knife.
Like aims right at her hand. She's able to grab it out of the air and sort of use her teeth to take the sheath off and spit it out, and starts cutting herself free. And I think while he does this, he's able to wrench the hammer to the side and hit sort of dead on the side of the spider's face and knock it to the side.
Cool. Yeah, so you keep another spider back. Yeah, Erin's, frantically trying to get herself out. The spider's numbers are definitely dwindling. I think probably like one more check and you'll kind of be good to go. One more successful check. So who is doing something next?
I was also going to, I don't know if, would Margrim have brought more of the peppermint gum than she would need?
I think it was Windalina's gum.
It is Windalina's gum, but Margrim brought it without Windalina's
knowledge.
Oh,
I was thinking you got it from. Okay, I understand. I thought you got it just now from Windalina's bag, but you brought it. You brought it from home. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I think once Jam has gotten one of the spiders out of the way, then Mergrim can be like, oh right, gum, yes, right. And we'll go to toss them over to you.
Or I think he's just gonna say spiders hate peppermint.
Oh, okay. Mergrim just starts waving it around.
What is this?
Yeah. That sounds like maybe resourceful.
I think resourceful, yeah. So I think Margrim, go ahead and roll resourceful.
Thank God it's not her own perception. She's just trusting.
Yeah.
What you're talking about. Yeah, that is a 13.
Cool. I think the added bonus, unless you have something else in mind, could be the peppermint also kind of like further breaks Margrim out of this like PTSD flashback as as you're also
like,
fighting
right here and now we're focused.
The spiders are scared of you this time.
Right, yeah. I think Margrim like sees that it's working and then just like gets dizzy with power and just goes
just like, I am the one.
So like I think maybe the last spider like doesn't even need to be fought. It's just like, fuck this, and like leaves.
Yeah, the spiders scurry away. As we all know, spiders hate the smell of peppermint. Or spearmint or whatever. I guess if it's blue, it's probably spearmint. But yeah, they skitter away. Erin's able to, finish cutting herself out of the web. that was kind of, Wendolina, that was really cool.
Just
been practicing.
Dougie just runs up, gives her the biggest hug. Like she is lost in Dougie's arms because she's so small, and like during this hug, he just says like, I was so worried about you. I'm glad you're safe. Don't run off. And at this point, he is tying the harness to himself.
That is wild. I looked up. Spiders actually don't like peppermint.
Really?
I learned that from a Doctor Who episode.
Apparently.
That's so funny. I fully thought, Ethan, you were just making
it up.
I was like, sure, I'll let that. I don't know.
Like,
I don't know any
sure.
different.
A natural pesticide to scare away spiders.
Interesting.
They don't like, it's overwhelming of a smell.
Yeah.
Is the idea.
That makes sense.
Which I was confused about when I read it, because I'm like, do they have nostrils? But yeah, whatever.
Oil also like burns your skin and stuff. So, like I
Yeah.
can imagine it's just a lot.
Like, no.
Yeah, that makes sense because ants don't like cinnamon, so it makes sense that spiders don't like mint, I guess.
Little gourmet bug.
Yeah, so you're tying Erin to yourself, Dougie, and you're saying I was so worried, and she's kind of muffled as like, well, I was worried at first, but then I knew that you all would be able to help me get out, so I wasn't that worried.
You should always be that worried.
You should always be that worried.
You never know.
Can you, Dougie, can you at least tie me so I'm facing out? I don't want to be. You're getting a little bit sweaty and smelly. Can you at least tie me the other way?
Yeah, I had to get all sweaty and smelly, saving my sister from a mess she got herself into. So I'll keep it like this for a bit.
You said I could come.
Margrim is smoking a cigarette.
Oh, so it's my fault. You ran off into the dark and got yourself caught in the spider web.
I went to the...
So it's my fault.
I thought I was allowed to go where the harness let me go.
I said no more than 3 inches. She's the one that set up the harness.
Hey, and she didn't fall.
Dougie adjusts the harness so she's facing out, and lights one of his matches and holds it up. It's a torch for them, basically.
Yeah.
And like sees the damage to the spider web, and it's like, I don't want him coming back here. Should I burn the spider web?
No. I have an idea for it. Then Margrim is gonna gather up a bunch of this spider web and be like, we have to, looks at Wendolina, we have to go across this rope, right? This stuff's real sticky. So like we could maybe use this to help us.
It's quite Are you going to be able to get that off your hands?
Well, I don't know, but I'm not going to be falling off that rope, so.
You might have to get off the rope at all.
We will find out.
Before we get to the rope, I will just mention again, since I didn't mention it when we came back from break. As of right now, chat, the Floorboard Folk have this next obstacle, but there's no complications to it. But for the low price of $10 or 1,000 bits, you can throw in a complication to make this, a little bit harder for these guys. But also, for 200 bits or 500 bits, you can give them +1 on a roll. So you can either help them or hinder them in this circumstance. Let me do the tip rewards. And anything that's tipped goes to the performers, so it's greatly appreciated. That being said, yeah, Doug, you have, lit this torch. Margrim, you're gathering the spider web into your hands. Just a real sticky mess, Margrim. First the gum, and now the spider web.
I am not falling.
Yeah.
I think Margrim has fallen once.
Oh,
and that's why she
yeah.
has this wishbone cane.
I like that.
And she is not falling again for love or money.
Yeah, so you now see, so you can see across the, I almost forgot what you were here looking for. You can see, like, way off on this other shelf that's kind of diagonal from the one that you're on the other, not, like, all the way on the opposite wall, but, like, yeah, say.
I want Wendolina to be, like, looking... Everyone else, we've figured out the spice, so she's like, I'm gonna find what we're here for.
Yeah.
So she's like, she's taken the edge of a sticker from like a jar of something where it's kind of peeling. And she like ripped that off and rolled it up into a little roll, and is holding that up to her eye to peer across.
Yes.
And it's like, we get like a camera shot of it, not zoomed in any way,
right.
because it doesn't help.
Just narrowing
but
your field
just
of
like
vision.
a small narrow spot, just like scanning across the shelves.
Yeah. Aaron is like, what's Wendolina doing? What is that?
No idea.
I'm looking.
I think Wendolina, and I guess anyone who wants to can roll perceptive to see what's going on.
It's 2 1s.
Okay.
So it's total of 4.
Cool. So that's not gonna be
His
good.
one good eye gets poked by Erin, just like moving her hands. It's like, damn it.
That's a 6.
Yeah, do you wanna mention, Kitty, why Margrim
Oh yeah. So Margrim's like peering across, and she's like, "Oh, forgot my glasses." And she goes through her bag, and she didn't bring her glasses, so she has really bad perception right now. She can't really see what's going on.
You're squinting. Dougie's holding his good eye that's been poked.
At least poke the other one.
Luckily, you have Wendolina along, because I got a 13.
Cool. So
Nice.
let me do. I'm trying to think. Result are 6 or lower. I do want to have some complication for Dougie and Margrim. I'm trying to think of what it is. Maybe for Dougie, I do like the idea that Erin poked your good eye and like kind of because she's tied to you. So I think maybe your next perception roll or like something to like see or notice things will be with disadvantage, which for this game is you roll 3d6 and you take the 2 lower. And then I think I know what the thing is that's going to be the complication for Margrim. And I think with a 14, Wendolina sees it, which is you're for no real reason holding this little sticker to your eye. You're looking across this. I said before that it wasn't I think the other shelf is on the opposite side because it makes sense that the rope would be tied like from one side to the other. So you're looking across this room, this really long string that's going dark over there. I don't think the light's on in here, so like there's not a ton of light. There's some light from like, you know, the crack under the door and that kind of thing. So you can barely see it. But you see this, the tin that you're looking for. But you also see some movement over by the tin, and one of the balloons, you see there is a borrower who's kind of fiddling with one of these balloons that Margrim wants. I think she's too far away to really be able to, make out anything specific, and dressed kind of like in dark clothing, but
Windolina's like, we've got trouble, and turns around and sees Margrim like can't find her glasses, like peering out, and just hands her the little homemade spying glass, like, look.
Margrim goes to look through the thing, and like her hands are sticking to it. Like,
she's caught in the spider web. And
it's like torn to shreds.
Well, now you've gone and ruined it. It's
what? I can't see. I don't have my glasses.
There's folk over there.
All sticky.
There's people. They're getting to the balloons.
Oh. Fuck no! Like start like hoot, like
going across. Cool.
It's like, what's going on? What are we doing?
I think
Grim like throws her stick down too.
I'm trying to decide. I feel like the way that you're doing this, it sounds like you are not walking across the string, but you're going like hand over hand. Is that accurate? Okay, I definitely think that's sturdy then, rather than agile, because it's like arm strength. So go ahead and roll sturdy to go across the string.
Oh, okay. That is a 10.
Nice. So you do what you intended to do.
I survived.
Yeah. Go ahead. I think.
Hooray! I live.
I think I'm trying to decide how complicated I want to make this. Yeah,
Make it really complicated.
Make it really complicated. I think it'll be, that gets you like halfway across. So it'll be one more potential, like, so for each of you, it'll be 2 checks to get across. So you get to the center of the thing. And yeah, you're just like oddly enough, the sticker sticking to some of the web and gum on your hands is making it so that you can kind of like, you get your hand into place, and then you can kind of like unstick it by like twisting it a little bit to where the sticker is, and like kind of able to do this pretty well. So Margrim is dangling from the center of this string that also has like herbs and stuff hanging, like dried herbs in bundles hanging off of it. So also like swinging around these bundles of herbs that are also hanging. Wendolina or Dougie, what are you gonna do to get across this string/rope? I guess rope.
Yeah, I want to go ahead and I want to. What is it called when you use your luck?
Test your luck. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to test my luck, and so that this rope is not quite level. And the other side, the side that we're headed towards, is just a little bit lower. So that essentially, so that it can be used as kind of like a slow zip line across.
Go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your luck. And you want to get a 10 or
time to get across first.
Yeah, otherwise you just roll over Margrim's hands.
This is just the roll for a luck.
Yeah.
I just catch Margrim on the way. Like, I got an 11.
Nice. So go ahead and mark your luck down to 4, I think. But yeah, that is the case. The other shelf is just like a little bit lower than the one that you're on. So it's like a nice, not too steep incline that you could use as a zip line.
Cool. So Windolina has this idea, and it's like, hurry it up, Margrim. You're holding up the line.
Margrim, go ahead and make me another sturdy roll for the last half of the journey.
Jam meanwhile is eating a spider. Checked out.
Yeah. Trying to decide
when
which
you
pieces
say
to bring.
when you say you're holding up the line, it sounds like you're holding up the line. As you just get closer as the flight's going.
Okay, that is a 5.
Ooh.
3, 8.
8. Okay. You do what you intend to do, but with a complication or cost. What do you have any ideas of how this is more complicated the last half than you intended for it to be? If you don't have anything, I can try to concoct something.
I mean, I feel like I know what's coming. So I think McGrim, like, gets almost to the edge, tries to, like, hoist her leg up and slips. And a hand reaches out to grab her and hauls her up.
Yeah.
And it's exactly who she both really wants to see and does not want to see, and definitely does not want helping her up.
Can part of the complication be because of all the gum and the fight and the dust that Margrim just does not look her best right now? Like,
no, and also, like, can't quite let the hand go.
It's stuck. Yeah, you're like.
So Kitty has alluded to this, but I guess I should say it outright. The hand that reaches out to help Margrim is Glanity, Margrim's ex-wife. Do you have an idea of what Glanity looks like?
Yeah, I think Glanity is kind of. I think Glanity is more of a what's it, like a runner, like taller and more slender, like a swimmer's build almost. And definitely more on the femme side. But also, like, is femme like pantaloon with frill kind of femme. Still needs to be practical.
Yeah.
Has like little like gloves on. And is like just clearly slightly more prepared than Margrim is, which she really hates to see.
Yeah, I think she has maybe. So Margrim has more like salt and pepper. I think Glanity like is full like long but like gray hair that's like all gray and like a little bit curly, and she's wearing kind of like, pantaloons, like wide, a little bit wide leg pantaloons, and then like kind of like a dark shirt and then a vest that's like a little bit form fitting to kind of like cinches the shirt in a little bit more. And yeah, she puts her hand out and pulls you up.
Great. Of course she does.
Pulls you up and kind of like grins at you as you're like trying to get your hand away. And she says, "Well, if it isn't Margrim Underbed."
It isn't Glanity, whatever your last name is now.
She says, "Oh, I still go by Underbed. Not that I'm around that many people anymore."
Margrim tries to roll a cigarette, and the papers just keep sticking to her hands. She's like, "God, fuck, damn it!"
Definitely Glanity like pulls a little. What would this be made of? A little cigarette case, but what would it actually be? I can't think of anything that small that it would have to be.
A locket. It could be a little locket.
Yeah, like a little kid's locket. So it opens up this little like heart-shaped locket and like lights it with a with a match. So it's like
Margrim is seething. Like it's important to note that like Glanity didn't really do anything wrong here. Like Glanity is being really lovely, and Margrim just like, this is like so many feelings. And she was just having this flashback about Glanity like being stuck in this spider web, and now Glanity's here, and Glanity's taking the thing that she wants really badly and is doing it better and looking better. And I'm all sticky and I'm just seething.
Glanity lights the cigarette, like kind of like, which is like insane to do, but has a regular size match, lights the cigarette in her mouth, but like doesn't cinch her hair or anything, like takes a pull and then kind of holds it up to like your mouth because your hands are so sticky, and she offers it to you.
Not happy about it. Damn it.
And she says, so I would have thought you would have emigrated by now.
I mean, like I'm used to the house. I like the house. I just, I'm still not over the bed and the teenager, and it's,
yeah, she's.
What did you do? Where did you go?
Oh, I'm still looking for a good place. I was, I tried it out in the kitchen for a while, but that dog is always around. And then I was, in the parlor, but, they're not really entertaining yet, so there's not a lot of food out there. Maybe eventually I'll settle down in the parlor. There's a piano in there that could make a nice little spot.
Piano. Yeah, that does seem like the sort of place that you'd like.
She ignores whatever subtext.
Yeah. I was like, yeah.
I'll cut back over to, so you've seen Margrim is like over and is talking to like this other person. I don't know if either of you know yet who it is.
You just see the swelling glow of a lit cigarette.
Yeah, the match, like the light. Oh, actually, yeah, I think you maybe do see just for a second Glandity. Whether either of you know what I don't think either of you have necessarily met her, so.
Yeah, but we have established there is a picture.
There's a picture!
So Windolina does know.
Definitely
yes.
knows.
Yeah, because there was like a time.
Dougie knows.
Yeah, yeah.
Especially at this distance, he'd have no idea.
Yeah.
Like he's finally like rubbing his eye and getting it like,
yeah, that's
like
true.
oh.
Yeah, Windolina, you see briefly illuminated by this match, you see Glanity across this chasm and Margrim talking to her.
We better get across quick. That's Glanity down there. If we don't, if we're not quick, one of them's gonna be dead.
Aaron from
Oh, Christ.
from Dougie, tied to Dougie, Aaron says, "Oh, how romantic!"
It could be romantic. It could be a bloodbath. Could be, honestly, given the way that she talks, could be both.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Who, Douglas or Windolina, who wants to make their way across next?
Dougie doesn't trust his own weight on this rope, so it's just like, at least if you go first, then yeah.
Are you keeping Aaron tied to you?
I was just about to say, like, since you're doing the zip line, like, Windolina, can you keep an eye on Aaron?
I can get her across.
Yeah. Gives you the harness, and I'm assuming Aaron's just like, I'm not a child.
Flailing.
Yeah. I think she at first is like that, but then is so in awe of Windolina from earlier with the kickflip that when she realizes that like that's who she's going with instead of her like stodgy older brother, she's like, oh, this is actually cool. Like I like this. So yeah.
Yeah, I know if there's one thing you can do to impress a child, it's a kickflip.
Kickflip a spider off of a shelf.
She's gonna ask later, like, hey, big brother, can you find me a tech?
That's what I really want more than anything.
There's already a skate park outside their house.
Yeah, that's true. I think, what? This seems like agile. Agile or resourceful.
I will say, I think it is specifically Windolina using again the skateboard as like the part she's gonna put the so it's like axles are on the string that we need to get across.
Could also be reasoned because there is let me know what you want to do, because I think this could fit in multiple skills. So because reasoned is like devise or construct, which is kind of what you're doing. Resourceful is like escape, kind of. So like that could be, you are being resourceful by, instead of just like walk, like trying to walk across this thing, you're using something. But also, like, agile makes sense, just like you're ziplining, so it makes sense for...
Yeah, agile,
or
I'm
sturdy.
very...
Like, really,
Yeah,
it could be
agile
anything.
agile is the best for me, but I don't want to just roll agile. So resourceful, I think, makes
Cool.
sense.
Yeah, go ahead and roll resourceful.
I do only have a 1 in resourceful. We'll see how this goes. My rolls have been okay.
Oh no.
Of course, that's the one that's bad. That's a 4 total.
Ooh, okay. What happens? Okay.
If you drop my little sister,
Here's what
there's gonna
None of us-
there's gonna
none of
be
us
2
got it.
borrowers going back.
So I do think with a 4, this is one of those things where it's like the most dramatic thing to happen is that Wendelina does get partially down, because if the bad thing happens before they even leave, then it's like, okay, you're right there. I think what happens is there are all of these herbs that are hanging down, and like they're not closest to the edge where you are. That's a little while before like one is there, and so it is resourceful to do like a zip line and like have, but like once you get to those herbs, they're like almost as tall as you, so like there's not really a good way for you to, like, you'd have to like let go with one hand and like swing to the side. So I think what happens is you zip line, and at first it's like going great, and then you hit one of these, the first herb bundle, you hit it, and with the impact that like brings you to a stop, because you're kind of like smacked into this bundle of like sage, I think, that, you know, so it's a nice, like a sturdy kind of bundle that's hanging down. And Aaron, who has the harness on but is also arms wrapped around Wendelina, with hitting that so fast, Aaron gets jostled loose and falls, and then yanks against the harness and is dangling 3 inches down below you on the harness. And yeah, Wendelina, you're not like to the middle of, you know, the thing, so it's close enough that like Dougie could get out and help. But yeah, you're dangling. and Margrim, you're just talking to your ex-wife.
I think Margrim like looks out and kind of sees Wendelina but doesn't see what's happening.
Yeah, it's just like, a blur.
Oh, if you don't mind grabbing some of that sage while you're there, that would be that'd be wonderful.
Yeah, Dougie, do you want to do something?
The plan was to like tie off a rope up to like past the grate so he could bring the tea up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
he has that rope tied to him. I think
It
like,
seems like you're coming up with a bad idea, and I think you should follow through on it.
like
Zay-
it could be a terrible idea.
Zay is like the Clippy of...
It looks like
Would
you're
you like
coming
some
up with a
help?
bad idea.
It looks like you're coming up
Would
with
you
a
like
bad
some help?
idea.
Do it.
Do it. Puts the X-Acto knife in his teeth and jumps straight for like as far as he can go towards them, and grabs onto the rope to hopefully be able to hoist Aaron up.
So you're just trying to jump to where they are without using the rope, or you're jumping onto the rope and then...
Using the rope while he has the rope from the thing
Okay.
tied to him. So if he needs to, he can cut Aaron's rope and like swing with her back to the
Okay, I see what you're
to
saying.
the shelves.
So I think this is sturdy. Because at first, the reason I ask is because agile literally says jump as one of the things. So I was like, if you're just jumping straight to Aaron, I definitely think that's agile. But if you're like trying to get in a position to be able to get Aaron, I think that's sturdy.
Mm-hmm. Like jumping halfway and then like as quick as he can.
Yeah.
That one's a 13.
Cool. So you do what you intended to do, and then you get an extra benefit or advantage. So you immediately spring into action. You've got these big arms that you're just kind of like very quickly. Maybe even before Wendelina has like time to register everything that's happened.
He was just on the side, just like I don't want anything bad to happen to either of them.
Yeah.
But don't, like, sister.
Yeah, and I think with that high of a roll, because you said you wanted to like swing down and grab Aaron, basically. Just let me know.
Like,
let me know
keep
what it is.
one arm up and like pull the rope from the lead, and like I can't really affix like her to Wendelina again. So maybe I don't know.
Well, you have an extra bonus. Go ahead, Kitty. Sorry.
If you swing her over to the sage, then she could probably climb up that, because that would have like some branching and stuff.
Or you could pull her up to you, and then she could reach like the main rope that you're climbing across.
Or like hold on as tight as she can to Dougie, and then he'll climb the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Like not zip line, just slow, get past the herbs as slowly as and safely as possible.
Cool. Yeah, so I think definitely on whatever you got, 13, 14, you are able to haul Aaron, who is like, when she falls, makes a little like, and then like puts her hand over her mouth because she knows she has to be quiet. So she's just like dangling with her hand, like keeping herself from yelling. And you immediately are like, you have one arm up, like holding on, and then like hauling her up to you. And then I think the extra benefit is that you're able to, because that is the thing that you were trying to do, was to get Aaron.
Yeah.
I think the added benefit is you're just like no frills. You've got the adrenaline. You've got the like older brother like strength right now to just go across.
Like,
yeah.
He would have climbed, but at that point it's just like, I need to get there quickly.
Yeah.
Jump.
Yeah. So you use the X-Acto knife and cut Aaron free from Wendelina and just get her the rest of the way across. Just
you're quick.
Yeah.
I think that Dougie is going to, while Wendelina is like sort of stuck with the skateboard and the sage, Dougie's gonna go past Wendelina. Just like shooting a look like, because I don't think he knew the skateboard zipline plan.
Yeah.
So just like, yeah, you take her across your lighter, it's fine. And then you see, what are you doing?
Just a hit sage.
This was your idea.
No, the zipline part.
Hurry up!
The best part.
That moves
I'd have been fine if I hadn't had her weight on me.
Patently
like,
not true.
Would have worked.
Like he's keeping that in mind, but his focus is on getting across.
Wendelina,
so like,
you're still stuck, not even halfway across. What are you gonna do to get yourself out of the situation? With one hand on.
Yeah.
either
Well,
side
I
of the
want to.
tuk-tuk.
I feel like when Dougie cuts the rope and Aaron's weight is no longer like pulling on Wendelina too, that would probably sort of spring her up. And I want to use that momentum of like the weight shifting from Wendelina to Dougie and like spring back up onto the rope, where I can sort of clamber across it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely agile. To just clamber across that way. So go ahead and roll agile.
Cool. That is an 11.
Nice. So yeah, what does it look like as you? I mean, you've already kind of narrated what you intend to do, but yeah, what does it look like as Wendelina gets across the rest of the way without incident?
Yeah, I think it is like we're having this yelled conversation, and as this weight shifts, Wendelina feels herself sort of like spring upward, and kind of like tucks the skateboard under one arm and uses the other hand to like get up on top of the rope, where she sort of like use their hands and knees to just climb across. I think as soon as they're on the rope, they do like strap the skateboard very carefully to their back.
Yeah.
Like, this hasn't worked, but I am not losing this.
Yeah, you get to the other side. Margrim. And then Jam, after everyone's across, has finished eating his spider and just like, he's a centipede. This
He's
is not
got
a
all his
problem.
legs.
Yeah,
Like,
he's just
no problem, no effort. Just
yeah.
maybe like passes one of
They
us
can
and just like
climb up walls. I think it's okay for them to go
Yeah.
across a rope.
In fact, that's what Jam does. Jam just sort of like goes across the ceiling.
Oh
instead.
yeah.
Windalina's like carefully climbing across this rope and just like looks up, and
Yeah,
there's Jam just
Jam
like
just going past. You all get across the other side, and there's this other person here who Wendalina has said is why can't I think of her name? Glanity, yeah. And they're Margrim and Glanity just smoking and like kind of chatting. It's tense.
Yeah, you can feel it in the air. Like,
Is it colder over here?
Would you like to introduce us?
this is Glanity.
She kind of nods.
Big burly handshake, like, oh, nice to meet you, Glenny. I've heard so
I elbow you.
so much about you. Like,
We've heard quite a bit.
Anyway, so what are you doing here? What do you need? I see you with these balloons. What do you need them for?
Well, the rubber from the balloons is very useful just in general. But I had this idea that, my back's been kind of aching, so I thought maybe this would be nice to use as a sort of hammock. It would be kind of restful, and I could pick up and go, put it wherever I need it to be. And I was kind of thinking, well, I don't know, you'll probably think it's crazy.
Probably, but go ahead.
She says, well, I was thinking, because I don't know how much I want to stick around this house, as lovely as it's been. So I was kind of thinking that maybe if I could get one of these balloons intact back to my setup, that maybe I could try to stretch the opening and make kind of like a hot air balloon, so I could travel a little bit further and not have to worry about all the grass and grime and everything, and find a new spot to settle down in.
That's not a terrible idea. I mean, yeah. Actually. Yeah, it could. Well, I mean, but that's crazy. I mean, the birds,
I hadn't thought of the
you have to
birds.
protect it against birds. Ugh. God, Calamity, you never think about birds. And I like say this to like Dougie and Windalina, like, of course, I'm always saying that she just doesn't think about birds.
I've never heard you mention that.
You've never brought up the birds.
All the time.
You've brought up quite a bit, but you've never brought up the birds.
What has she told you about me? Because it sounds like...
Anyway,
Quite a bit.
LED lights.
When Delina's thinking back, it's like, quite a bit.
Aaron is just like, she said she thinks about you all the time.
Oh, God.
Sort of
Talks about
pats
you all the
Aaron on
time.
the back, like, that was good.
Anyway, I was thinking about getting some of these LED lights out of these balloons. I don't know if you were observant enough to see them in there, but was thinking that it would be a great way to create an inside gardening system.
Oh, well...
Margaret clearly looks like I'm waiting for you to praise me now.
As soon as she says observant, Dougie is like, thinking like, you don't have your glasses.
You can't see anything.
You left your glasses at home.
I think. Oh, I thought of something fun. I think Glanity says like, yeah, I guess I'm not as observant as you. And she's kind of like squinting a little bit. And then she's like, can I just, and like kind of reaches towards you. She pulls back and she says,
I cover Aaron's eyes.
What did you think was going to happen, Ducky?
I don't know.
I want to see.
Yeah, I feel like Magrim has not been touched in a very long time, and so it's a bit like skittish, but like sure, what? Go ahead.
I think Glanity kind of like is like, sorry, force of habit. Do you mind if I, and is kind of like gesturing, like that she wants to like touch you.
Sure, fine, yeah, whatever.
She lifts your hat a little bit, leans forward, and your glasses are like on your head under your hat. And she very tenderly kind of like takes it off and then puts it like on your face.
Yeah. This is great. This is really great.
Dougie uncovers Aaron's eyes and just like, oh okay.
What happened? What happened, Dougie?
His glass, it's fine.
Yeah, Glandy says, I just remembered a lot of times you would lose them in your hair.
Yeah.
And her pockets.
Yeah.
And the table.
Yeah.
And
her bag.
Sometimes
the
Jam.
bag.
Yeah, I think you said that you had Jam when the two of you were together.
Yeah, Jam was just a little house centipede at the time. They another interesting bug fact. So house centipedes, as they grow in size, they gain more legs, which I didn't know. So I think Glanity knew Jam when Jam was just a small 4-legged house centipede, and now Jam is like a full 15 pairs of legs house centipede. So it was definitely much smaller.
Yeah, Glanny says, "Oh, I'm glad to see you still have Jam around. Someone has to take care of you."
I'm great at taking care of myself. But you know, maybe sometimes I think about how that'd be nice. But anyway, we got to get this balloon situation sorted.
Aaron Aaron's not tied to anyone now, right? Because the rope was cut.
Dougie is holding onto the rope with one of his hands.
Okay, so she's straining at the end of the rope and like trying to grab like a Werther's to like put into her bag.
He sees and he's just like, all right, that's fine. And like let's go, and then as soon as she grabs it, immediately pulls back.
Yeah, she like lurches forward when you let go and like grabs it and like starts putting it into one of the bags, which is, it's like big, it's like this big around, so it's like a messenger bag that she's like putting it into.
Window leans down and is like, they're not that good.
But they're shiny.
They look a lot better than they taste.
I could put the wrapper on the wall of the cinder block and it would look really pretty.
Windolino like looks kind of pleased, like taps her on the head, is like, now you're thinking.
Should I take the candy out and just keep the wrapper?
Probably don't need it.
No, your mother likes the shiny candies.
Yeah, she
cut it up first. You can just make it smaller.
Yeah, she puts it in her bag. And yeah, as far you've gotten across all the obstacles, you've arrived at this tin. And I think the last thing we'll figure out is how exactly you're getting this tin back. which you kind of already have like a plan for, but like whether you're taking just the tea bags, you're gonna try to get the whole tin.
I feel like Mergrim at least is gonna be like, look, we've had a lot of excitement for today. Maybe we just take the lights, some balloon, and some tea bags and call it a day. We could come back for the tin. But
we're already here. We could make a shed out of this.
I think the tin looks like a house. Like it's painted to like look like a little house.
yeah,
Could just move right in.
It's a great tin, but like, and I just look at the rope and I'm just like, I just don't. Do you have a plan for this?
The plan is tie it up as tight as possible. Go back up to the grate in the ceiling. Pull it up.
Plan.
And then it's a good thing you brought the wagon. If it doesn't break, then we can use that to move it back.
Oh, okay. I mean, we still have to get it across the rope, though. That seems to be the.
We won't get it across the rope. We climb across the rope, get back up, and the rope is still attached.
So you have a long,
to the thing.
Yeah, you have a long rope that's tied to the grate that you're gonna tie around the tin, and then you're just gonna push the tin off the shelf,
or like pull off the shelf. And it's a little bit lower, so it won't swing like whoa. Yeah. So just like start winching it up, or pulling it up. Not winching. We don't have a winch. We could set up a winch.
You could set up a winch.
Yeah. But yeah, just that to bring it on up. I mean, if you want to take some tea bags out just in case this thing falls and smashes on the ground, add something.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Though, and I just sort of like, it would be easier if you helped us. I don't know. I mean, if you're not doing anything, Glanity, it would be really helpful to have another set of hands.
So you're saying that you could use my help?
I'm saying the group could use your help. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, if the group wants to ask me for help, but it sounds like you're asking me for help.
I'm asking on behalf of the group, Glanity.
If it's a problem, then we've got it.
Yeah, we can take care of it.
Glanity is just looking at Margrim and she's like, I mean, it's up to you. I could go my own way, or if you just want to ask for help, the one thing that you never really did in the relationship that, kind of.
I want to roll for cunning to see if I can trick Glanity that this is not me asking for help, actually.
Yeah, roll cunning.
Okay, so I rolled really well, but I have an idea about how I want. I got a 9 + 4.
Oh, nice.
So I think Mergrim wants Glanity to come over.
Yeah.
And Mergrim does not want to make it obvious that that's what she wants. Yeah. So I think that Mergrim is going to be like, look, like pulls Glanity aside, says, look, like the kid got stuck to a spider web already. It's a big, you remember back in the day, it was really terrifying. I just think that maybe Aaron would feel safer if there was another person along. But here's what I'll do. If you come and help us with this, and don't give me too much hassle about it, I'll help you with your hot air balloon.
Yes, I have no problem asking for help, so I would love your help with the hot air balloon. Um, and she looks over and sees Aaron just again, puppy dog eyes, helping you. Because this is, a parent trap situation where she's like, how can I get these lesbians ex-wives? Like, how can I get them back together? So Aaron's just like eyes wide. And Calamity is like, well, if you insist, and it'd be nice to see, what your setup is, now that you're not under the bed.
We'll have tea by the time this gets dealt with, so,
That's true. Yeah. It's been a while since I've had a good cup of tea.
It's same. It's been hard to find, but,
I think that since we're getting to close to the end, I think there's probably just one last roll I'll have you do, to get the tea, like the whole thing of tea over. Because you do have a system, and I'll let you kind of decide what you want that to be. Because you could do just like pure strength, to get to like haul it up. But like also, if you wanted to do, if you wanted to try to construct something to make it easier to pull up or like anything like that.
I absolutely want to do that because I'm showing off now because. So I'm like, all right, we got this. Like, let's do this like winch pulley system.
Yeah.
I have all of these bits of like safety pins and stuff that I can like wind the ropes around.
Yeah. I think go ahead, Margrim, and roll reasoned. Because that's kind of the
I want to add to Windalina is going to help out by number one, scraping Margrim's hands off, getting all of this gunk.
So that
Margrim can actually do it. Like bits.
Ex-wife.
It's really embarrassing. Like there's
I've got this like
clump of hair that's stuck together. Like
I've got this like piece. I pull out this piece of plastic, like just a little piece that was broken off of something that Margaret was like, that's junk. I'm like, it will come in handy. And I use it here and I'm like, see? And I scrape off all this gunk and then I use the gunk, what's left of the gum, to attach the balloons and the balloon pieces that we're taking to the tin of tea so that like as we swing this back up, it doesn't like clatter against the wall.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great.
I'll say, Windalina, if you want to roll, this is not like specifically a part of the game, but if you want to do this to help out, I'll say resourceful or reasoned, you can roll, and if it's a success, then Margrim will get advantage on this roll, so 3d6 and you take the highest. Not like you need it, you're all gonna roll whatever you're gonna roll, and then if you fail there could be a complication, or if you just want to narrate that for like narrative purposes but you don't want to risk like a complication, you can be narratively helping out, but Margrim will just roll a flat roll. Up to you.
My only worry is that I only have a 1 in resourceful. I don't really want to like make it worse. Yeah, what the hell? We'll go for it.
I love making it worse.
All right, that's an 8. That's an 8 total.
Cool. I think the complication is, I think, pretty simple, because complication or cost, I think you just like use up a lot of your stuff that you've been hanging on to. So like the piece of plastic after you scrape Margrim's hand off is like covered in spider web and stuff, so you're like, I'm gonna have to leave this behind. You've got like some other little pieces of things,
some weird tacks and just bits that I'm using to like tack things down and like put this all together, and it just empties out my satchel.
But yeah, so that is still partially a success. So Margrim, go ahead and roll your reasoned with advantage. So you roll 3 and take the higher 2.
Okay, so that is an 8 plus 5.
Nice. So is that brings you plus a 12, right? That's 13.
13.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you do what you intended to do, and you get an extra benefit. I do think the benefit is, as you're doing this and like putting, you know, like so you all get across the rope, and like I won't have you roll for that because you already did that. That's not it's not really engaging narrative. It's like then you have to do the thing again. So you all get across the rope, having learned your lessons from last time. You stick to your strengths. You go across. And as Margrim, you're building this winch system, and Dougie, you're kind of like pulling this up, and you're all working together. There is a moment, Margrim, where you notice that that Glanity is like she's kind of keeping Aaron contained and like talking about the spider thing.
Just like handling her.
Yeah, she's like, I was in that situation before, yeah. But there is a time when you like look over and you see like the thing where she's looking at you but then looks away. And there's a little bit of a spark there.
And I feel like I'll add to that McGrim looks really cool right now.
Yeah. You're clean. You're not as sticky.
I'm not as sticky. I have my glasses on. Yeah. And I'm building this cool thing that works.
Yeah.
And so I feel like, yeah, I've got this. Like,
yeah. You definitely look cool as this thing goes off perfectly. Dougie, you're just like very easily able to pull it up, and the little things that Wendelina added like kind of help it, like, you know, not clatter into things. Were you gonna say something else, Dougie?
It's just having to like pull, and it's constantly pulling back. It's so much nicer to pull, and like if he lets go for a second, the winch has it.
Yeah.
Like he's able to do it, and it's not like, oh crap. It's just, okay, take a breather, get back to it.
Yeah, very cool. That is gonna wrap up the expedition phase of the game, which brings us to the return, phase 3. Once the Floorboard Folk have achieved their goal, it's time to wrap up the session. So this is where we can all kind of narrate kind of what's going on as you return. There is a list of questions, which is on page 23, that you're encouraged to kind of answer. I think it'll be more fun if I don't read them off, and if we just kind of like mention what we're answering during this little conclusion part. But if somebody doesn't have it pulled up and you want me to read them off, I fully can. That's up to you all. But there's kind of a relaxed discussion about what happens after you return with the tea.
Well, I think we get the grate back in, but it is missing one screw. So we pick the screw
they won't notice.
Feeling for it to be gone.
Yeah.
Because they're the least likely to notice that one.
Yeah.
And I think
I would have
hitched the wagon to Jam. So that Jam
yeah.
The wagon and kind of exhaust himself a little bit.
Yeah.
I love the idea too of this tin being on the wagon, and then I think maybe because I feel like the tin would be much bigger than the wagon.
Mm-hmm.
The back end is on the skateboard.
Ooh,
yeah.
So it's like sitting awkwardly on this wagon,
and there has to be someone on either side to like keep it from like tipping.
Like, right.
Yeah. As you're wheeling it back.
And then we get to the ramps going up. Oh no.
Yeah.
Dougie tries to lift himself and he's like,
Yeah.
Definitely a lot of us on the back pushing.
Yeah. Yeah. So
well, the wagon would make that a little bit easier, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is a montage of like kind of a series of cuts of like going like, you know, the little air vent or whatever, and like getting it, you know, getting the tin situated. I think all of you have also like picked up other things, like whatever things you want to have picked up. Like I also think definitely that like that Erin is dragging behind her like a fun-sized bag of Doritos, so she's like just kind of like pull. So it's like one of those snack sizes, but it's still huge. It's light enough that like she can pull it, but heavy enough that she's having, you know,
it's like the size of a giant beanbag.
Yeah.
Just,
and she's weighed down with like all these bags full of just little things that she's found. As she's pulling behind. And you get back to the crawl space with the LED, some rubber, some balloons, this tin, the tea, whatever other little things that you think
Doritos, Werther's Originals.
We've got the best tea party.
Yeah.
We've got some tea, we've got some Doritos and some Werther's. Like,
imagine going from only having like mushrooms to eat to like tasting a Dorito for the first time.
It's like
one of those things like if like the meme of like if a little Victorian boy saw this, he would die. Like, just imagining a borrower eating a Dorito for the first time.
If you give a borrower a Cool Ranch Dorito, their brain.
There's too much flavor for their little bodies to handle.
They like kind of dip it in water, so it's like kind of get some of the stuff off. It's too much.
You can use the dust on things, so
that's
I think
true.
that we definitely do that. I think that Mergrim definitely makes a cake with a little bit of the Werther original, so that they can all have like a proper cup of tea and some cake.
What do you think the tin itself is being used for?
I was thinking maybe the basket for the hot air balloon. Like cut the top off. Got a nice basket.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, I think, I feel like, because what I was thinking of for the basket, I was thinking a strawberry basket is like perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect for that. So I think that like down the line, Glanady and Mergrim will go on an adventure to like get that basket. So in the meantime, Mergrim is going to sort of huff and puff about like, well, we could set this up as like a place for you to stay while you're here, while we're working on this hot air balloon. So like making it like kind of the, like we each have a house next to each other. So we have our own space.
That's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's also super sneaky because that's a way for Mergrim to be like, and now you have a place to stay here.
Yeah. And I
Like-
think the tin, like once it's set up, I think there's like a little bit of a time skip where like this is set up. So the tin is like pretty tall, like tall enough that it's like, this is maybe unrealistic, but I'm imagining it's like pretty big and tall, almost so that there's like a very short like first floor and then like a taller second floor. Like maybe they're almost like a storage space at the bottom, but it means that the top part, like maybe there's like a window on the tin because the tin looks like a house that is cut out to make like a real window, and that window is at like the level that the cigar box is at, since it's like kind of above, so it's kind of set up so it's like she can look out her window and like see the cigar box.
Yeah, totally. I feel like and yeah, I feel like we also set up for a like when I talked to Wendelina a bit about like, well, if this hot air balloon thing, I just don't think that I don't think that Glanady should go off on her own, so I might go with her, and I need you to like keep track of the house, make sure the house is okay. I mean, obviously I'll take Jam with us. But you can move into the cigar box.
I'm running a bit out of space up there. I could use the space. I'll clean it up a bit, make some room.
Yeah, sure. That sounds great.
I think the next scene we see is, sometime after everything's been settled in, the new house is, put into place, and you're all having a little, like Wendelina mentioned, this is perfect for a tea party. And so you're all having a little tea party with Aaron and and Siobhan and you all and Glanity are in, I think, in the cinder block, because there's like a little sitting room there where you were all in before. And so you're all sitting and like kind of talking about your adventure and how things went. There's plenty of tea for you, and also like if you want to be sharing it with like the rest of the crawl space, there's like a lot of, because it's like a tea bag. It's like
more than enough.
Yeah, tons of tea.
Yeah.
So I think maybe one of the things you're talking about in character is the things that you went well and the things that you think went poorly during the expedition. I think you're telling Siobhan about this since she wasn't there.
Oh, yeah. We should not tell Siobhan about what happened to Aaron. Right?
Right, yeah, I don't...
Either time, right?
Right.
I was sore for my moment there.
What are you youngins talking about over there? I can't hear you, but I can still see that you're talking, and it's...
Oh, we were talking about... Jam had caught a silverfish. Yeah, perfectly safe, but
A real big silverfish.
Oh.
yeah, yep.
Dougie has...
Go ahead.
Oh, Dougie has his hand over Aaron's, like on Aaron's shoulder and just like, I'll get you a skateboard. It is like, nothing bad happened at all.
Zips her mouth and throws away the key.
Oh, but we got some of the little LED lights, so we could set up a little garden situation for you.
So nice. Yeah, yesterday I went out to check on my sprouts and they were all brown again.
Yeah, they need light to live.
And, Dougie, you could go outside and get me some dirt to put these in.
I'd love to, Mom. Sounds like a great idea.
I haven't been outside in ages.
Aaron's like, yeah, we could get like skateboard parts.
Good. We could. I've been meaning to spruce up the park a bit.
And
Sure,
and if we
scrounge
go
up it up.
outside, I'll be allowed to go, right? Because everything went so well.
We all look at each other. Sure, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing went wrong.
Nothing went wrong. Dougie just walks across the room to go and get some rope and like holds it up looks at Aaron just like
your back.
Okay. Like sort of climbs up on my shoulder and I'm like, and like growth.
Gross. I think there's some other questions. There's one I think we'll save for last. But what there's a couple questions that each player can answer individually, so I'll just say those ones out loud because it's also kind of meta. It's not like in the narrative necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
But what did another player do that made you smile? And also, what did another player do that surprised you? You can each answer that. And I'll think.
Oh,
of it
the
too.
zip line thing was surprising for me.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great idea, even if it didn't quite come.
It almost worked.
Yeah.
I'd say the zip line as well, and also using your luck point to be like, hey, what are the odds that these shelves are not quite even?
Yeah.
Like, I love that.
That's good. The thing I mentioned this earlier, but the thing that surprised me was when Ethan let Aaron come along, which was so fun. Like I wasn't even thinking of that, but it was very fun.
If there's another question that's what was a terrible decision, that would also fill an answer.
Well, that is kind of what went poorly. So
yeah,
It was a lot of fun though.
It was a lot of fun, and I'd say after this, Dougie is a lot more like, I will teach you the basics of like tying knots and stuff like that and being safe.
Yeah.
Like maybe give her his X-Acto knife. Like dull it down a little bit, and then teach her later how to sharpen it.
Yeah. Ooh, that's smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. On I feel like more Smile. Dougie just like diving in to save Aaron when we were dangling from the rope was a blast.
I
It was like, this could go horribly wrong.
I enjoyed tormenting Dougie with jam.
That would be what made me smile, because like as Dougie, just horrified and disgusted, but as Ethan, I'm like, this is great.
Jam loves you so much.
Yeah, just like maybe it's just like you're so tall, like just climbing is fun. It's like that's great.
Yeah, definitely something that made me smile was Kitty coming in with the bug facts. I
Yes.
always appreciate hearing like just facts about things, and like when someone gets to talk about something that's interesting to them is like one of my favorite things. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I had no idea that house centipedes just start off with 4 legs.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't know either. That's so great.
I'm like,
Legs. But yeah, that was while I was looking up house centipedes, I was like, oh, this is so interesting. There's all this like weird information about them.
yeah.
So yeah,
yeah.
I don't know, they're wild.
Mm-hmm.
Did everyone answer both smile and surprised? I wasn't keeping tabs.
I think so.
And then anyone who wishes to answer this one can. Some of you have already touched on it. Is there anything you wish you'd had a chance to do that you didn't, or anything you wish you had done differently? This can either be your character, it can be you as a player, and not everyone has to answer this, but you're free to if you'd like.
I wish that Dougie had stressed more, like stressed more to Aaron that this is not a field trip. Like he just like took her along and it's like, hey, it's very dangerous, but didn't actually. Like some examples might have helped. Like
Hey!
Take up the eye patch and just be like, this was like these things are running around the house.
Yeah.
Like, be careful.
Yeah.
But overall, I think it was, in the end, not a good idea, but the outcome is good. Like giving Aaron an experience and being like, "Hey, this is not fun."
Yeah.
It's fun, but
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I got to cross off everything off my player wish list anyway. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't sure about like there being any kind of connection with Glanity. That was very fun to play out because I'm not generally a player who does a lot of like romancy related things, but there was something about playing like a gruff person who also really wants this but is like acting cool about it. That was very, very fun.
Yeah, that was fun. I had hoped that Glanity would come in, and when you rolled so poorly on the perception, in the back of my mind I was like, if this perception is bad, Glanity will be there. If it's good, then maybe not. Because it's good overall. Like, it was fun to introduce that, but also it is like a complication for your characters.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I think the main thing for me, not something that I think this is something I wish I'd had a chance to do but didn't, and it's just because it didn't come up. But the complications table in this game is very fun. So I think in future games I do hope that, it was great that you all rolled well and it was good timing wise, we're just about the spot that we wanted to be. But it would be fun to play this game and have some of those complications come in because they are fun.
sure.
And then the last thing, I think, before we wrap up, as you're all sitting and you've, you have your tea, you have a little Werther's cake. There's a new neighbor of Glanity who I think as time goes on kind of comes and goes. Like there's times when she's gone for a while, she comes back, but she does come back. And I think each of you can, as you're sitting and thinking about your trip and your adventure, can answer in, out loud as players, but in your mind as characters, was the expedition worth the risk?
I mean, absolutely, for McGrim, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think McGrim, like, sort of got a taste for adventure again and had, like, gotten a little bit complacent. But like, I think that Mergrim, part of what she missed about Glanity is like wanting to perform for someone else. And so like now that Glanity is around, like she's more inclined to go on trips with Glanity. She doesn't go every time, because she also is kind of a little more of a homebody, I think, than she likes to pretend to be.
Mm.
But you know, I think that it's given her an opportunity to like find that sort of excitement again,
Yeah.
without having to commit to it all the time. Like it's excitement with security.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Mergrim really wants.
Yeah.
Do you think Magrim sometimes either forgets or just doesn't bring the cane along sometimes?
I think that she adds some adjustments to it. Because I think Mergrim has the cane for like chronic pain stuff, so probably needs it. At least just in case. But I think Mergrim starts to like think about like adding a pin to the bottom or something so that it's it can stick into things better, which gives her more purchase. Like before it was sort of a bit more of an affectation because she was spending a lot of time just like sitting and like hanging out. But like now she actually kind of needs it a little bit more because she's more active.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like the idea of like Margrim using her inventing stuff to like make like more mobility aids that are like helpful in like different situations. I think that's really fun.
Yeah, like she wants to make it so if Siobhan ever wants to go out, you know, for a little jaunt somewhere, that's possible.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
and
fun.
I think that Mergrim is sort of thinking about like in the future we might not be able to live here anymore, so like we do need to figure out like what's the best next place.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of her inventing had been focused on like nesting, and now it's more focused on exploring.
Yeah. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Douglas and Wendelina, do you think was the expedition worth the risk?
Oh, absolutely for Wendelina. I mean, adventure is always worth the risk, but not only did we get tea, we got, I think Wendelina has made a hammock out of one of the balloons and has strung that up like just outside there. I think it's hanging, so it's only accessible from their second floor apartment. Like you have to climb out. It's not a window because it's just like open. They've removed the wall on that side, but like out into the hammock that hangs next to it. So she's got a much like nicer spot. Plus, she got to show off, which is really what they wanted.
Yeah.
And it's a lot quieter. It's a lot quieter now. Margaret's off a bit. Less moping about the house.
Yeah,
she doesn't have to talk about her long lost love.
It's no longer face down on the desk.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cute. What about Dougie? Was it worth the risk?
Dougie, at the time, thought absolutely not. He hates tea, and he doesn't get the whole balloons thing. Like, I guess they're useful, and he thinks his mom does not have like from past experiences. His mom does not have great farming instincts, but just finally getting back and seeing the smiles on everyone's faces, like Margrim's back with Glanity. I keep thinking Glenda. Glanity. Wendelina they had their moments of showing off and having that adventure and the smiles on everyone's faces, seeing the smile on his mother's face, seeing Aaron get a taste of that adventure, but also understanding it's terrifying at the same time. He's like, even though every time someone like pours him a cup of tea, he and then like pours it behind him or something, he's still like looking at everyone and thinking like, yeah, it was worth it. Just seeing all the smiles.
Yeah, and I think that about wraps up our adventure for this evening with Under the Floorboards. A wonderful game. This is one that I'm going to play again.
For sure.
And, if any of you wanted to come on again and reprise these characters, I would not be upset about that.
If next time I can kickflip a mouse.
There we go.
You just move up.
Just up the side.
Kickflip the cat.
Yeah.
Get it right in the whisker.
That's
so
the
it's
goal,
like,
baby. That's the goal.
This is like
Kickflip a human.
Attack and destroy God, or attack and dethrone God.
Yeah.
Eventually you kickflip one of the biggies. Just, boom.
Very fun. One more time for anybody who is coming in at the end of the stream. This time we'll start with Kitty. What else do you have going on? Where can people find you outside of the stream?
Yeah, so at Kitty Striker on Twitter is where I post probably the most often. Lots about politics, lots about tabletop RPGs, lots about more politics. It's a lot of politics, to be honest. And then my cats, you'll see my cats a lot. And then I'm also officially Kitty Striker on Facebook. Which is where I post about the writing that I do. I just finished a workbook on consent culture that should be coming out next year. So I'm very excited to show people that.
Yeah. Zay, what else you got going on? Where can people find you?
Yeah, I've been Zay. You can also find me on Twitter at WildJBlue. I talk about also politics, also whatever weird thoughts I have that day, and sometimes about the games I'm working on, which is another place you can find me, which is on itch, wildjblue.itch.io. I have a handful of games up there that I've released recently. One's a weird experiment, one's kind of a weird sad thing, and the other is a very goofy, ridiculous one-pager that I just released. So
yeah, and I neglected to put the itch in the bot, but I did just put the link to that in chat, and it'll be in the YouTube description as well, which I highly recommend checking out Zay's Itch. It's very good. Ethan, what about you? Where can people find you? What else you got going on?
Not too much at the moment, but this has been so much fun. I'm thinking about getting more into the online community and starting maybe doing streams of my own and sharing D&D homebrew stuff that I've made. And it's just this was such a fun experience. I also do art commissions on Twitter. You DM on Twitter at CrazeEthan, at CRAZ Ethan. And
I'm gonna not to blow up your spot. Your @ is actually Ethan J. Michael.
Is it?
Your display name.
My display.
Yeah, which is.
Oh.
You're wrong about your own Twitter.
I am, and that may have been screwing up other opportunities because I had no idea.
Yeah, but the reason why I know that is because when you first mentioned it, I was like, did I put the wrong link in? And I checked it and I was like, no, it is right. Ethan's just wrong about what he's saying.
That's fine. But
yeah.
Just with this stream, it was a really fun game when my face hurts from smiling.
Yeah.
Which I'm just like, oh wow. It was awesome experience and a great game. Thank you.
Yeah, well, you'll be able to give your face a rest, because we are gonna wrap up. Let me see.
Character art for Erin and Siobhan and
yeah, that's true.
Yes. Gladly, as you guys are describing, I was just like, I gotta draw this. This is gonna be great.
I don't think I'm gonna raid anybody tonight, so I think we'll just wrap up here. So this is also where the YouTube VOD will end. So y'all want to say goodbye to chat and a goodbye to YouTube?
All right.
Bye,
Goodbye, chat and YouTube.
Goodbye.